So welcome back. It's the third episode of Neel Sits Down now. And instead of going in chronological order, right where I left off in the last episode, I thought it would be fun to just jump around because 2025 was one of the best years. I think it was the best year of my life. So many things happened, and it's tough. If I go in chronological order, I'm just going to be jumping around anyway. So I thought it'd be fun. This is my journal here. I bought this in 2024 when I had moved back from New York, and I was pretty depressed at the time. I got it. It looks like June 19th, 2024. My first entry is at 6:58 p.m. My last entry was February 15th of this year, and it wasn't even an entry. It was a little drawing that I made. I don't know if you can tell what it is, but it's just a guy observing a cat on a branch of a tree. I don't know. I thought it'd be cool. Got little mushroom things for eyes. Sometimes it's not even words. Sometimes you just got to paint a little picture and get whatever it is inside your head out into the real world, you know? But this journal, this little book right here, has gotten me through the worst part of my life. And it's awesome because it's got such a cool design on the front. I really like it. Feels like a thematic thing. It's great, man. And what I thought would be fun is I made an entry in here. Here we go. I found it. I made an entry on December 29th, 2024 at 6:27 p.m. And I said in here, well, I don't want to read the whole thing, but I'm excited to start my new job and make a good impression. I'm also looking forward to meeting new folks at the office. In New York City, I had a lot of people to hang out with. Here, at least for now, I am a bit more alone. I wanted to make a 2025 bucket list of things I can do instead of spending my money at restaurants or bars. I guess it's also time to make my New Year's resolutions again. My old journals are packed up in boxes, so I can't reflect on 2024 yet. And then on the bottom I wrote New Year's resolutions, and I made 3. Number 1, start my podcast, Neel Sits Down. Save $5,000 by December 31st into a high-yield savings account. And number 3, post my special Neel Stands Up. So I might be broke, but 2 for 3 ain't bad. Those kind of overlapped a little bit. So those were my New Year's resolutions, which I do them every year. But for this year, it felt like I wanted to do a little bit more than like long-term, like large thematic things, I guess. I just wanted to get some shit done. So on the other side of the page, I wrote 25 things to do in 2025. And this was like a really, really awesome, fun thing that I got to do. And I kept revisiting this page. I don't usually do that, actually. When I go to my journals, I kind of just get whatever it is in my head and I put it down on the page and I don't really look at it. I guess it's weird because I know what it is that I wrote down, but I have this like idea that like 10, maybe 15, 20 years from now, I'm going to like go back in my journals. I'm going to be like an older man and looking back, and I'm going to like, it's going to be like I'm spoiling it if I go visit it. And, I want to read it when I'm like 70 years old and be like, oh, wow, I really went through it. But I don't go back. So it was nice to just have this page to revisit because I did write down 25 things in here. So let's get through it, man. Number 1, make kimchi. I didn't even do it. So I did 23 of the 25 things that I wrote down in here. But I couldn't find the time to make kimchi. I don't know what it is. You know what? Maybe it's just such an easy goal of mine that I was just like, yeah, I'll get to it. Like, I don't need to set aside time to do this. And I never did it because I don't know the technical process, but I thought you just fucking cut up some cabbage and put some spices in a jar with some vinegar. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I added that to this year's now. But there's only 2 on this list that I didn't get to last year. And this was one of them. also, I just moved to like Koreatown in Los Angeles, so this was the first thing on my mind. I was like, they eat kimchi, right? Maybe I should learn to make it. I don't know. Not everything has a meaning to this one. Number 2, which kind of I dragged it from my New Year's resolution, which is start my podcast. That was fun. So the first episode I actually started, so this is important. I really liked that I wrote start my podcast instead of post my podcast, right? And there are two different things, because starting the podcast was a mental decision that I had to make because it involved settling in some aspect. I think I talked about this before, but I had this grand vision that I was going to have an insane setup with like a key light, some backdrops. I wanted the sign, obviously. The sign was non-negotiable. I had to get the sign. I wanted like a fancier microphone. Like, this is technically a voice acting microphone. It's meant to pick up like different keys and pitches. So if I do like different ranges of voices, this does a little bit of a better job. So I wanted like the classic podcasting mic, like the Shure ones that you see all your favorite comedians using. I wanted a 4K camera, separate from my phone. And the point is, I had so many things that I wanted to do, like before I actually started doing the podcast. And at a certain point, yes, you have a vision. I fully believe you should not compromise on this vision. You should try to make it as much of that thing in your head as you can, right? But it's always going to get better along the way. So you have to pick a starting point somewhere. And if there's like, this is the shittiest way you could start, this is the best way you could start, you're never going to reach the best way, right? So what I try to do is meet in the middle and then take one step forward. So whatever average is, just go a step above that. So for me, that was getting the sign. I really like that sign, by the way. My friend Javi, my old college roommate, he designed the sign for me, and I got it made from Voodoo Neon, by the way. If you need a sign, great guys over there. So I wanted like, the setup here. But I taped it. I think I did it in November, but I didn't post it. So I'm really glad that I in a way, I just decided to go with what I have, right? So I went with the phone as my 4K camera. It is a 4K camera. That's the craziest part. Like, I was like, why the fuck did I want to spend like $5,000 on like a camera and then like a couple grand more on some lenses? And then, I wanted like 2 cameras. So I wanted like different angles for some reason, whatever. I don't know. The point is, like, this stuff would have held me back, right? So I just wanted to get it started. So I started and I taped it. I don't think I posted it until after. Yeah, I posted it this year. In January, I posted the first episode, but it was filmed in November. So yeah, started the podcast. That was a good one. Number 3, Korean spa. That was pretty cool. I went to the Wee Spa here in Koreatown. So number 1 and 3, I guess, had Koreatown on my mind. That was interesting, man. I went to the saunas there. I didn't realize how much I missed that. How there's so many benefits to sitting in a sauna and really sweating it out that I had missed. When I was in my hometown, not my hometown, but when my parents moved, I had a gym membership there, and it had a wet sauna and a dry sauna, so like a steam and sauna. And I would go in there after my workouts and everything. But then when I moved over here, my apartment has a gym, so I didn't really see the benefit in kind of getting a membership or really doing anything. But then when I went to the Wee Spa and I sat there in the sauna, kind of relaxed, took a nap, sat in the baths, kind of reflected upon everything. I did this one a little bit earlier in the year, maybe a couple months in. Don't really remember the exact time. I think it was after my surgery, because I had surgery. I did from the last episode. I had to get that surgery finally in LA sometime in March. So I don't remember if I did the sauna before or after, but I remember when I went there, I was like, I really enjoy this. And, for $30, it's not a bad deal. You can go sit in that sauna. You could stay there as long as you want, right? They have all sorts of different rooms. But after that, I kind of realized this is something I enjoy. And it kind of kickstarted the whole thing to like getting a gym membership later on down that and getting a sauna. But I don't know why I was so fixated. I'm still fixated on it. Like every time I go to the gym, I do the run, like I run a mile and then I'll lift weights for about 45 to 60 minutes. And then, but I'm doing all that just to get into sauna. There's something about it that's just amazing. It feels like if there's any bad energy, or like if I drank the night before or something like that, whatever, if I'm having a bad day, bad week, work was rough, something about just like the heat extracting all of that negative shit inside of you, and then taking a cold shower after just resets me, makes me a better person. You know, if I, because this happens a lot when I get depressed, I just don't know what to do sometimes. And going into a sauna or having the idea that I have this thing that I can go to and spend a couple of hours and better myself mentally and physically, I know that that's the first step. So I enjoyed that one. I didn't realize it at the time when I went to the Korean spa. At the time, it was just something to do, you know. I was like, well, I heard that's a famous thing, and I saw that video that Conan did at the Wii Spa, so I was like, fuck it, might as well try. They were offering massages there, but I wasn't trying to spend $200. I was already fucking slammed with all my furniture. Dude, I must have dropped like, fuck, dude, it was like at least 12 grand on like all the furnishing in here. I didn't have to do it, but it was just, I just didn't own anything. You know, I lived in a furnished apartment in New York, so when I came here, everything was just new. I didn't own like down to the silverware, you know, everything just added up. So, and of course I couldn't compromise on the fucking TV. Like I had that vision of watching movies alone, so I needed the TV. And then I got the TV, and then I was like, well, I gotta get a nice sound. So I got a fucking sound bar and everything. Again, I had to cut myself off because I was like, dude, I can just go down this rabbit hole forever. Like I was looking at rear speakers like behind my recliner and shit. I had to stop myself. I was like, dude, this isn't even my forever home. Like, and then, but it did. I realized, I was like, dude, when I get my home, I'm going to have a living room, sure, but I'm going to have a dedicated room just for like cinema and for gaming, whatever. And it's going to have like top of the line shit, dude. That's a vision for down the road that I set up. Anyways, number 4, make rice and dal. This one, I wanted to get back into cooking in some way. And rice and dal is something that I really should know how to make. It's simple, basic, healthy ingredients, right? So, and it's a staple. It's something that both my parents would make. Just, you can store the lentils and you can store the rice forever, right? So you don't even need to make the trip to the grocery store 98% of the time. So you just always have the ingredients, and it's as simple or as complex as you want to make it. And I felt kind of like I should really know how to make this, right? As an Indian guy, I feel like I should know how to do, because I always want to go get like nice. I want to get like sushi or like barbecue or whatever. But there's something humbling about just your basic home meal, your staple. So I wanted to learn how to make it. I think I did this one. I went back to the Bay Area. I visited my parents and my friends sometime around July for my birthday. And I kind of cheated on this one, actually. I was feeling too depressed to make it myself. But you know what? I was just like, I'm home right now. I might as well just have my mom show me how to make it. So I helped her, cut up the ingredients, and I put it all into the pan. But she did the majority of the work, but I decided to cross this one off the list anyways. It was nice. I still got to, you know what? I may not make rice and dal specifically now, but it did get me back into cooking a little bit. It got me back into, just because I always think cooking is like not a waste of time, but it takes so long to do this task. And I'm kind of a perfectionist, so like I never want to go get frozen vegetables. I never want to get like the jarred garlic. I always want to get the freshest ingredients. So if I'm going to cook something, I have to like go do the groceries that day and get the best produce and then it becomes a whole thing, and it's just like it takes me like all day to get the things done because I'm very particular about it. I gotta like chop up the things and I gotta put it into little bowls, and even though I'm like the bowls don't do anything, like I'm gonna put it in the bowl and the bowl's gonna go in the pot. Like I know it doesn't make sense, but that's the way it's got to be for me. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my fucking shit, dude. If I see like cutting boards all over the place, like I got a different cutting knife over here, and then I got like plates over here, I'm going to lose my shit, right? And it slows me down. It literally will take me half a day to like make one meal, which I throw on like Mad Men or whatever in the background, and I just fucking howl it down before the fucking theme song's done. And I'm like, dude, I did all that fucking work for hours just to like, now I'm just like, I'm still hungry. Like I want to eat more, but not because I'm hungry, because I'm like, dude, I just did all that work. Like I want something to show for it. But I did get back into cooking, but in my own way. I started making simple meals that I can store for a long time. So, and this kind of ties into how I started losing weight too, which is, I don't even think I wrote this on here. Yeah, but at a certain point, I got so fat again. I guess it was like from the stress of moving, furnishing the apartment, starting a new job, and the job was harder than my old job. I mean, it was the same. It was pretty much the same thing, but it was a lot more responsibilities and with new people, so like new impressions and everything, right? So I think I was stressed out from like that, the career aspect. Also just a creative, like I was kind of thwarted again. Like I didn't have time to be creative. I didn't think I did, at least. And yeah, I guess I started stress eating, drinking again. I had this idea that if I could save money if I just like go get my booze at Costco and like stock the fridge with like 40 beers. That way I don't have to go buy a 6-pack that's like overpriced. But then I would just drink it way faster, and I'm like, dude, I'm losing way more money, and I'm like gaining a shit ton of weight. So I hit my peak again. I was 229 pounds the day after my surgery. So I got my surgery in March, and I know we're jumping around month to month, but this is all in 2025. So I got the surgery, and I remember when I went in, because they weigh you in before the surgery, because I had to give blood samples and everything. So they wanted to get all my, like, whatever body measurements and everything, so that the anesthesiologist can get their dosage right. And I weighed myself, and I was like 227 when I went in. And I remember thinking like, God damn, bro, I'm back. Like all that work I did in 2024 was just like that. And then after the surgery, I remember I bought a scale so I can actually track it. I never had a scale. And I guess in a way that was like some form of me holding myself accountable, to actually see the number, force myself to see it every day, right? And at least I'm thinking about it every day. I'm not just blindly just shoveling things down my gullet. Anyways, I got the scale, and then after my surgery, I saw it, and I was like 229. I'm like, how the fuck did I gain 2 pounds after my surgery? Like I wasn't even eating. Anyways, but then that's where I was like, dude, if that number hits like 230, like if it hits that number like 230, I've never seen the scale start with 2 and a 3, right? And I wasn't gonna start. And dude, this is what really started the whole thing. I saw this video of, I think it was Piers Morgan, and he was on this, there was like these ladies on his panel as well. And then they were talking about like this like diet, like the best way to diet. Like there's like, oh, there's a new way, like people found a new way. And then he cuts them off. He's like, eat less food, do more exercise. And one of the ladies is just like, are you a doctor? And I started laughing. I was like on my phone, my fat ass was laughing, and I'm just like, wait a minute, why the fuck am I laughing? I'm fat as fuck, dude. Like I looked at my height and weight on the BMI scale, and the BMI thing said clinically obese, and I was like, yo, I've never thought of myself like that, dude. Like whatever, some people have body dysmorphia where like they're like really, really skinny and like they think they're really fat. I think I had it the other way around, where I was like hella fat, and I was looking at myself like, looking good, dude. So that was a good one. I got really back into cooking those meals to help myself portion it all out. I didn't get obsessive about it. Like I never weighed all my shit out. But I did, I started making like basic stuff because I realized for me cooking, it's not about gourmet shit, because if I want gourmet food and I'm eating for the flavor, I'm just going to go out and get it. Like, what's the point of living in a city if you're not going to go buy the food that other people do way better and way faster than you are, And honestly, it's cheaper too. If I go and get all those ingredients fresh, like I'm probably going to fuck it up and I'm going to spend just as much. What am I saving, like $8 on a meal? Dude, I'd rather spend that $8, get my 7.5 hours of the day back and just go about my life. You know what I mean? But I didn't have to have every meal. So I broke it up. I saw it this way. It doesn't matter what I do on the weekends, but during the weekdays, it should be like this kind of like I'm just grinding. So everything needs to have a goal during the weekdays. So I already had stopped drinking and smoking or getting high. And I was like, okay, another step further for my weight loss journey can be just controlling the meals that I make. So instead of just delivering food or whatever, and whatever it is, I decided to start doing OMAD fasting. So I just eat one meal a day in the evenings, and this worked out so well for me because every meal was like it was a stress response, right? So it's no different than drinking or getting high, right? A lot of it, sometimes food is an escape too. So that's the way I saw it for myself. And if I can exercise that same discipline that I did with going to the gym and the sauna, that I did with and with drinking, if I could take that same discipline of like holding back and staying for that long-term goal of success, if I can apply that in my diet, then I think everything will align, right? So I was like, the best way for me to do that is not to have 3 meals a day, because that's going to drive me nuts. Like, because then I got to think like 3 times a day. I got to think, okay, don't eat this much, eat like this, like, and every meal, it's like I'm never feeling full. So I was like, fuck it. I'd rather feel full once and go hungry the rest of the day than just like tease myself with like a little bit of like, what am I going to have, like 8 almonds? Like, and that's going to be like tracked with my dinner. Like, it was just way too much. Right. So I started doing the OMAD fasting. And for my one meal, I would cook, I would get like this ground beef from Costco. And I still do this right now. Actually, I did it a couple days ago. What I do is I grind it all up and then I cook it, and then I just get like a jarred sauce and I pour it over. And now I just have pasta sauce for 6 nights. And that to me is the pinnacle of cooking for me, is like low effort, super quick, it's healthy, and I don't have to think. All I have to do is I have to like grab the sauce out from the fridge, and then I boil some pasta, and I just make the pasta fresh. And then I got some frozen vegetables. So I decided to just be like, fuck it, dude. During the week, like, it doesn't have to be about the flavor. I'm just, as long as I'm eating healthy somewhat and it's fast and cheap, like, that's all I need. Because anyways, I'm gonna eat the food, and then I'm just gonna go to the gym and then hit the sauna, have my protein shake, come back. And this is the most important part, before I can even have any other thoughts in my mind, because I would gym after eating dinner. So I would gym from like 8:30 or 9 p.m. To like 11:30 or 12. And if I stayed up, I would 100% eat, right? I would break my diet. I would cheat on my OMAD thing. But I started just taking melatonin and just winding down. Like, immediately I get home, put my clothes away, empty my bottle into the sink, and then clean up. And then I would take the melatonin, and then I would drink some water, and then I would brush my teeth, and then I would just lay in bed. And that really, really helped me, because if I stayed up, I would just eat. So that was like a whole routine. So when I finished my work, it became this beautiful thing where I wasn't really thinking. I was just on autopilot for months on end, where I had something to do all the time. And it was always leading towards this larger goal of like discipline and diet and exercise. And all 3 were just hitting this perfect trifecta where I was shedding weight. I was dropping about 4 pounds a month. I think they say recommended to do like half a pound a week. That shit was too slow for me, bro. And I'm gonna be honest, like I even on the weekends, like I would fuck it up sometimes because I would easily just binge eat. Like I could, no problem, I could put down 3,000 calories in a meal, right? That's not the problem, especially if I'm drinking. So easy to do. So I would do that OMAD fasting. I would exercise and do all that during the week. But then some weeks I would be like a little extra depressed or whatever, stressed out. I would just eat it back on the weekend. So some weeks I was stagnant. So then I realized, I was like, oh shit, there isn't really, like there are limits. Like I actually can eat my way out from this deficit over the weekend. So even if I work hard for 5 days, if I fuck it up in those 2 days, then what's the point, right? Like I'm just right back where I started. So it started to become this lifelong thing, then more so than like I had thought of it as like a short-term thing where I'm like, okay, I'll just lose the weight and then I can return back to my life. And instead, when I started to undo my work on the weekends by binge eating, I was like, this needs to be a lifelong thing. This needs to be a shift in my mentality. Like it's not a diet. This is just how I eat now. And that made it so much easier because I'm like, oh yeah, it's not a phase. This is just what I'm doing now. And this is where I feel good. And honestly, after a couple months, like it became second nature. Like it became weird to eat during the day. I would still get hungry, especially when I would go to the office. They would have like really, really good food for lunch. And it took everything in me to just not eat right there. And it kind of helped that I told my coworkers because they'd be watching my ass too. They'd be like, still dieting? And I couldn't be like, fuck, dude, now I can't do it. Now I have to stick to it. But I would pack my plate and I would take it home. And I would eat it for dinner. So, but yeah, massive returns on that. Anyways, that was a huge tangent. That was number 4, make rice and dal. It did start, it started this whole, just writing down the goal of making rice and dal. I realized every one of these stems from like something in my subconscious. Like I want to do these. Yes, I want something to do, but there's a deeper reason behind why I wanted to do each of these items. And that one was a really, really good one that I liked. Number 5 was Joshua Tree. This was a good one. This one was kind of a tragedy. Not a tragedy, but it was just unfortunate. This one I did in November. So I went to Palm Springs. Well, okay. I'll talk about this one too. So this is number 5, Joshua Tree. And then number 18, which I'll get to, is perform on a booked or paid show. So these two kind of happened at the same time in November. My friend Ozzy was doing his first headlining gig in Palm Springs, and he's a friend from college, and he hit me up and saw that I was in LA and was like, dude, it'd be awesome if you want to come down and over to Palm Springs and open for my headlining act. I was like, dude, fuck yeah. I was like, that's 2 birds in 1 stone. You know, I've never really been to Palm Springs. I get to do like a little mini travel thing, you know, get out of the house, stop being a homebody. I get to start doing stand-up. I get to do stand-up again. And it's a book show. So, you know, what did I have to say no to? So I was like, you know what? Might as well make it a thing, you know? Like, I might as well go see Joshua Tree because it's like a couple hours. I think it's only an hour away from Palm Springs. So I was like, this is lining up perfectly. Because, by the way, when I made these goals, I wrote down a majority of these except for the last 4. I wrote all these down on like one day in like 2024. So I didn't even I didn't know that this Palm Springs thing would line up. It just worked out beautifully. Like sometime in the middle of the year, he hit me up and I was like, oh shit, I can do 2 of these things at once. So it worked out nice. But yeah, Joshua Tree was right there. So I took a couple days of PTO. It was the first time I was using PTO for PTO, because I previously burned like 85% of my PTO bank, and 100% of my sick time off bank for recovering from my surgery, which was a massive L. But anyways, I booked the time off, and my friend was available to watch dog, which was nice. So everything lined up, and I went. And oh, you know what else lined up? I saw Tame Impala the day before I left for my PTO. That was awesome, man. This is my second time. The first time I saw him was in Madison Square Garden. This was somehow even better. I really the only thing was that the week before I got like a crazy fever. So I had this PTO. The show was on a Wednesday in the Kia Forum. And on Tuesday morning, I woke up with a crazy fever, and I was congested, and the whole 9 yards. I was down really bad, and it was my first PTO of the year in November too. So I waited all year for this, and it was like a triple whammy. I was sick throughout the concert. I was hopped up on Dayquil and cough drops. I must have been like 15 or 20 cough drops that I put into my thing. The security patted me down at the concert and saw all these cough drops and was like looking at me. I was just like, dude, I'm hella sick. And like, I was like, I promise I'm not like, there's nothing. It was just a weird thing. Like they gave me this look and I walk inside and I'm just like sucking on these things and like trying not to die in the concert. And then the next day I had to wake up and I was even sicker because I should have been resting. And then I had a flaming fever, so I sweated it out, took a shower, and I was fully fucked up. And I just took extra Dayquil, and I made the drive to Palm Springs. I met my friend and handed off my keys to him to my apartment to watch my cat, and I made the rest of the drive to Palm Springs. And I did the shows. There was 2 or 3 shows that I was on. And I was so sick, man. I can't believe I still managed to have fun. Like there was an existential part to it. I was just like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like the one time that I get to do all these things, like this is really cool. I get to open for my friend, and I haven't seen him in years either. And I get to go to a new city and explore. And Joshua Tree was like this thing. It always felt like an introspective area to go see. So I was just kind of upset that I was sad. Not only was I sick, but when I went to go do the Joshua Tree part, it apparently was one of the worst thunderstorms of the year. So there was clouds, and then I got like a warning from like the national park app or whatever, and it was just like, please avoid Joshua Tree as much as you can this weekend due to the storms. There's some areas of flooding. I was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like I got a hotel in this fucking 29 Palms or whatever it is. And I was just like, oh, dude, you gotta be like, that's the worst luck ever, man. I'm sick as fuck. And like, and now even if I go, like I can't even go to some areas because it's like flooded out. So I couldn't go during the day. And then finally it cleared up, and then the app was just like, okay, it's safe to go now. But because it was thunderstorm, like I couldn't even see the stars or whatever. So I had like a small window at night, and I drove out there anyways. I was like, fuck it. I got to cross this on my list anyways. Like I can always come back, but let me just go and see what's up. So I pulled up to a parking lot that was I saw was recommended for like stargazing, and I did get a brief moment of luck because I pulled out my chair. I was the only one there, obviously. So I had the whole parking lot to myself. And then I just kind of laid back, and I was still sick. And then I looked up, and after my eyes adjusted, I did see a lot of the stars and stuff. It was really, really cool. I managed to get like a picture with the, like exposing the camera, whatever, for like 60 seconds, and it turned out really cool. And I sat there for about 35 minutes, and then I saw the clouds come, and just in that small window, I was very, very appreciative, because I had like this small, just kind of reflective moment, just looking up at the stars, laying back in that chair. It was cold as fuck, but I was bundled up, and the clouds took over, and then all of a sudden I couldn't see anything anymore. So I was like, well, that's all I get, I guess. And as I was packing up, I heard like a howl that was way too close for my comfort. So I started freaking out. I was like, dude, I got hella scared, and like I didn't even fold the chair. I opened my trunk and I like threw it in there, and then I like closed it, and then I immediately jumped in my car and I started it up. And I was like, man, I'm glad no one saw this. It was fun, but I got to go back and get the actual experience of Joshua Tree. I want to go during the day. I want to camp there for a night, because I love being outdoors and stuff, but I've always had a mental block against doing an overnight stay. I think it's just I don't have the right tools. Like it's kind of not a steep investment, but you got to invest a little bit to get something out of it. Like you got to have a tent, you got to have something to cook with out there. You got to have some know-how. So, yeah, and it always helps like to not do it alone. Like you got to go probably with someone who knows more than you, who can show you the ropes a little bit. So I'm sure I'll go back to it, but I'm glad I did it. I'd like to do some of the hikes there, even though they're, it's a little bit of a desert area, but I'm really glad for that 35 minute window where I was looking up at the stars. I was reflecting on a lot of the year, and just really being appreciative of what I was being able to see that day, because it really is cool, man. I didn't get to see everything, but whatever I did see, there's something about just looking up at the stars that kind of reminds you where you are, and puts into perspective how insignificant you are, and how your significance is defined by your own outlook. So I enjoyed that, even though I was very, very sick. That was one of the worst sicknesses. It took me 2 weeks to fully be back to where I was. And yeah, I mean, it just happened to line up on my first time taking time off. Fucked up my concert, and my set, but whatever. It was a fun time. But yeah, and the show, since we're, the show was awesome, man. Ozzy killed it. It was so cool to like catch up with someone from college and get to see them do this thing that I didn't. You don't really think about others, but they're going through their own journey and stuff, and they're have their own pursuits, and they're going through their own phases. But it's all a discovery thing, right? So when you catch up with someone like that and they're on a similar path like you, I guess it's just kind of cool to see like, oh shit, like this is what you've done. I get it because I've been there, and that was nice. It was also really cool because you realize that a lot of life, anything that you do, it's just always going to be because of who you know, and especially in a world like entertainment, stand-up, gigs, you're not just giving gigs because you're funny. It's just like someone, right? And that's how it works. And it was a reminder also, like to have a network. You don't have to do everything yourself. Even if you can do it yourself, there's two sides. I really respect when someone takes full initiative and does everything themselves. That's why I like Tame Impala, right? Like the guy is like a singer, drummer, guitarist, bassist, keys, and a composer, and the band's just there for the live experience, right? But that it's the creative side is coming from just one person, right? So it's nice to do things yourself, but you need others. Like you do need others. And that was a nice reminder, because I didn't do anything to get that gig. I was just kind of one day I just checked my phone and I got a DM and I was like, that was really nice. It was just someone reaching out, seeing what was up, how I was doing, and then offering me this thing. It just kind of fell in my lap. And I was like, I should do that to others too. And I should be really appreciative when people do that to me. Because again, man, nobody has to do anything for you. So be grateful when they do reach out. Because people go in and out of your life all the time. And it's not like a bad thing. It's not a negative or positive thing. It just happens, right? So just be glad when it does, and whoever's there at the time, just take it for what it is and be grateful for it. Number 6, go to the beach. This one, I'm a homebody. It's easy for me to be like, oh, I want to be in LA. I want to be in like Koreatown because it's in the center of everything. I'm close to restaurants. I'm close to comedy clubs. I'm close to, my work in downtown. I'm close to the beach. I'm close to these hills. And then I just sit inside and watch movies for like months, right? It's very easy for me to do that. So I wanted to get something to just get me out of the house, I did this one. One of my buddies came and visited me early in the year, and it was fun. Like kind of like with the camping thing, going to the beach. It's about as fun as it is if you have the right shit, right? I'm not a big I don't like to swim in the ocean. I just kind of like to hear the sound of the ocean and kind of look at it. Kind of like the way that with stars, like I just kind of like looking at it and like thinking like something about the vastness of it, of nature. It puts me in a really, really good mental state of like reflection. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired of going to the beach and like bringing a towel, not even a beach towel. I would bring like my like bath towel that I used to dry off. And then I would just sit there like a chump and I'd be like, the beach sucks. But it's not, the beach doesn't suck. It's like, you just haven't optimized the experience, right? So I was like, dude, I'm an adult. I can be an adult and go get things to make this experience better. So I got a little umbrella and I got like 2 chairs and I got a cooler, dude. I fucking love this cooler, man. The cooler ties everything together, man. It's like the rug from what's that fucking movie? Oh, The Big Lebowski. Just ties everything together, man. Because the cooler, like, bro, when you have a cold beer almost anywhere, whether it's a hike, a beach, I mean, you take it to a park and you crack open that cooler and you reach in there, you hear the ice shuffling around, you pull that thing out and you crack it open. Fuck, dude, that is optimal right there. And I realized, I was like, how the fuck haven't I done this before? And the whole thing was like less than $200. It was like $150 for the whole setup, like the umbrella, 2 chairs, and like a cooler. I was like, are you kidding me? And I like this whole time I've been hating on the beach for this. It was awesome. And I went in like fucking February. Like it wasn't even, it was like the one weekend where it was like a little bit warm, but it's LA, so there's no wrong weekend to go to the beach, but it was nice. Had that little experience there. And I use the chairs. That's the same chair I sat in for Joshua Tree when I pulled it out of my, the little foldable chair that I got for the beach. That's the one that I pulled out at Joshua Tree. So I'm glad, I love this idea of just being an adult in like a video game and like everything you have is like your inventory and, everything that like this bucket list of 25 things is like, these are like my little side missions, some of them are like my main missions, but it's just nice to just like view it that way because it makes more sense to me, not taking it too seriously. But yeah, going to the beach, getting out of the house, just not being a homebody, it's the worst thing you can do when you kind of reinvent your life and go to a new city is just stay at home and not do anything. So it was important to me to get out and enjoy. Number 7, road trip to San Diego. Easy one. I did this later in the year. When the hell did I do it? I think I did it in December. Yeah, I did it in December. Yeah, last month. A couple weeks before I went to Mexico. So this one, I'm not going to lie. The reason I wanted to go back to San Diego was because of this burrito, man. The California burrito at the taco stand is the best burrito I've ever had in my life. I'm so fucking serious right now, dude. Like, there's something, it's down to the fucking tortilla, dude. I don't know what they do, but it's so fucking soft and warm. It's a hug. It hugs you. And when you finish it, it's still on your mind. I want that burrito so fucking bad right now, dude. Even the french fries inside of it. All right, I'll stop. But I wanted a road trip for this. But I can't fucking be like, I'm going to San Diego for a burrito. I mean, I can, but I was like, I should do something else. So I looked into it, and like a tourist, I was just like, fun things to do in San Diego. And then like the zoo came up, and it was like, it's like the largest zoo or whatever. I think they have the largest botanical area as well. I don't know. They got a bunch of shit out there. I didn't realize it was two little areas. They have like a safari park that's like about 45-minute drive away from it. So I went to the main one. That was fun. I got to... I don't know what I expected, dude, but I went on like a weekend too, and on a Saturday, and I get to the zoo, and I'm like just this fucking lone like 29-year-old just going on my own life journey, right? And I'm looking around, I'm like, why the fuck are there so many kids here? I didn't realize. I'm like, dude, the zoo is like kids go to the zoo with their families, you know? I'm like, I'm the weirdo going alone, just fucking looking at a monkey or whatever. That was cool. I really like the felines. I don't know, man. I just realized it's been years since I've been to a fucking zoo and seen some like legit animals and shit. So it was fun. You know, I did the thing, and then I went to go to the main mission, which is the burrito. So that was fun. That was number 7, road trip to San Diego. I haven't stopped, bro. I really hope they open up a fucking taco stand in Los Angeles. Number 8, catch a show at the Comedy Store. This one, I think I did it in February too, around the time that my friend and I went to the beach. So this was cool. I mean, I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think it was because I was on the other side where I was on the stage. Sometimes I don't feel like going to comedy shows. Sometimes, I mean, you know, if I'll go for a specific person, like if I really find them funny, they're on tour. I love booking tickets to go see that person and their act. But ever since I came back from New York, I didn't see a show like a house comedy show where they have like whoever's dropping in. Sometimes, you know, I just get in my head. I'm like, I don't know what it is. But I wanted to go do that because the Comedy Store is pretty iconic. You know, I mean, it's no Comedy Cellar. I'll admit, when I went inside the Comedy Store, I was like, oh, this is different. I realized that, you know, the stand-up scene is different in LA. You really have to be intentional to go see stand-up comedy. It's not like New York. I mean, New York has so much foot traffic. And I think that's why New York is so good for stand-up comedy, is because there's people about, so you don't have to drive. You can just bump into a place and be like, oh, they have comedy here, and you'll sit down and just enjoy a show, right? And you don't have to worry because it's 2-drink minimum at both New York and LA, but in LA you got to drive, right? So people aren't getting like drunk. In New York, people don't care. It's like, whatever, I'll take the subway or I'll call an Uber at worst, right? So the culture behind it is different. The rooms are smaller in New York, and it makes it so much better, dude. When the ceilings are low and the seating capacity is at like 45, 30 even. Oh, that's a good room for comedy, man. I mean, it's nice to have these rooms that seat like 250, 300. It's just different. Yeah, but I really miss New York. I'm glad I got to go to the store though. It's a bit expensive though, man. I'm like, you're thinking about parking and then 2 drinks and then the tickets themselves. I mean, Comedy Cellar was like $17. You line up and then it's like 2 drinks for like $20 and you're in and out. This shit was like, with parking, bro, parking was like $35 on top of the tickets, like, and the tickets were like even more expensive. So I'm not gonna lie, it kind of turned me off from like the comedy scene here in Los Angeles. But I think also I just wasn't ready to re-enter it, and that's okay. You know, I do feel like that will happen on its own, anyways. By virtue of just doing whatever it is that I want to do, I know that I'll get back to comedy at some point. But I'm enjoying whatever this is right now. I don't even know if you would consider this comedy. Probably not. But in any way, it's a medium of expression. And I don't think it matters what the medium is. As long as there's like things up here that you just bring out into the real world in some way, I think that's more important than sticking to like, oh, I should be doing stand-up. And it was cool. I think I saw I don't even remember. I think I saw Whitney Cummings. I saw Andrew Santino. Andrew was hilarious. I saw some big names too. I'm forgetting now. Anyways, I went a couple times to the store last year. It's nice because people, whenever my friends visit, they're like, "Oh, you got to take me to the comedy." I'm like, "Okay, sure, fuck it, let's go." You can't have a bad time. You're gonna see someone cool, at the very least. Number 9, Griffith Observatory. Before last year, I didn't get a chance to do Griffith the proper way. I had visited one of my friends when they were going to UCLA because I went to SLO. So I drove down and we did Griffiths too late. And we parked all the way at the bottom, dude, because we didn't want to pay. It's not even that expensive to pay for the parking right there, but we just didn't want to do it at the time. So we hiked up like an hour all the way from the bottom to the top. And then by the time we got there, it was way too late and they were closing like 45 minutes. So I didn't really get to see everything, So I wanted to do it justice. I went to Griffiths a couple times. I went like 3 times last year, actually. And each time I did more and more. So it was really cool. I loved the area that it's located in. I love, again, just seeing stars, just something astronomical about it. That whole thing about just the vastness of space. I love that, man. The last time I did it was the best because I actually got one of the shows. So it was like a performance I got to see, and then they do it really well. And so I got to see the show, which I got tickets for. And then we also got to go look in the telescope. So I saw Saturn. That was really, really cool, man. You just forget that these things are there. And it's like this is a whole establishment on top of a hill in one of the most iconic cities. And it's specifically meant for you to, go in there and be starstruck, literally, by how amazing this world and the universe is. So every time I went there, it's just such a nice reset. But yeah, it'll be a while until I go. But next time I go, I'm definitely doing the show again, and I'm gonna do the telescope, man, because you got to go early for all that stuff too. You can't be going like 2 hours before closing. You'll miss out on all the good stuff. The exhibit's more or less the same, but that was a fun one. And it's so iconic to LA, and that's when I was like, okay, because I got the Comedy Store, Griffith Observatory, and the next one I was like, there's got to be more iconic shit. And then I saw Hollywood Bowl, so that's number 10, Hollywood Bowl. And since we're doing this one, let me jump to number 12, which was see live jazz. I love jazz. I can't believe I was in New York for 5 years and I never saw live jazz. I mean, I never saw live jazz and I never saw a musical or theater in New York. Can you believe that? I'm an idiot. But I was like, fuck it, man. I've been listening to jazz since I've been listening to music. Like, why haven't I seen this shit live? Like, I've seen almost everything else that I wanted to. So I was like, let me do this. And then I was looking at Hollywood Bowl. Like, sometime, when did I do this? I think basically what happened was I realized I hadn't done my Hollywood Bowl thing in the middle of the year. And then I think sometime in April or May or something like that, I like looked it up. And I was looking at events at the Hollywood Bowl. I was like seeing some names that I knew, but I didn't really care. I was like, okay, I don't really care about them, but it'd be cool to just go see them at the Hollywood Bowl. And then I saw the Jazz Festival. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And apparently every year at the Hollywood Bowl, they do a jazz festival for like 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And it's BYOB. Dude, people are pulling up with coolers. And I'm like, I got a fucking cooler. I just bought one. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I don't even, like, the biggest thing about concerts is like, yeah, I want to be drunk when I'm there, but I don't want to pay like $20 for a beer. So I pulled up and like, it was like BYOB. People were like just walking about. Arsenio Hall was hosting it that year. De La Soul and the Isley Brothers were headlining. And on top of that, I saw so many cool artists there. And dude, the fucking coolest part was during the day, it's what a view it is, you know. But at night, as the sun sets, the color behind the actual venue, you start seeing shades of purple and pink in the sun, the orange from the sunset. So as the acts are changing and the night's falling, like the aesthetic of the whole place changes. And then at night, when the headliner comes on, you know, that's when they put like the big Hollywood Bowl lights. And then, you know, the two iconic lights in the background. So then I was just like, holy shit, dude, this is the way to experience the Hollywood Bowl. I want to go this year again. That was awesome. I got to invite somebody to come with me this time. But yeah, man, I was just talking. I was hanging out, just having a few beers, you know. There was people just walking about. It was just so informal. People were like coming up from, a lot of people from Atlanta were in LA for the Jazz Festival. Sorry, not Atlanta, New Orleans. A lot of people from New Orleans were coming up to LA. So like, yeah, a lot of the people that I talked to, they were just like, hey, I'm coming up from New Orleans. And like a lot of them were smoking cigars too, which is cool. I was like, I got to bring my own next time, really fit in, you know. Got to bring my cooler. I got to bring my cigar. That reminds me, I got to see how much tickets are. It was like $40, by the way. And it was so like nobody even cared, dude. Like I bought $40 tickets, but I easily could have just walked up all the way to like the front. Nobody was really checking the thing. And I don't know if it was just like the vibe or whatever, but like, there was just something so careless and carefree about it that just lined up with like the nature of what jazz is that I really appreciated. So that was cool, man. Again, two birds with one stone there. See, I saw live jazz and I got to go to the Hollywood Bowl. And I didn't know how much of De La Soul's catalog that I knew. I was like, dude, these guys are hella, like, I knew of them, but like, I didn't know that I knew them like that. So that was awesome to see so many hits live like that. They were really, really good. I wouldn't consider them jazz, but you know, you got to have a big name in there to draw a crowd. Where was I? Oh, that was number 10, which was Hollywood Bowl, and number 12, which was See Live Jazz. Number 11 was Go to a Magic Show. This one I liked. When I went to Vegas, so one thing I didn't talk about in the last episode, in 2024, I went to Vegas for my friend's bachelor party. My friend got, you know, he proposed and everything. He's with his high school sweetheart, so it was very, very nice to see that happen. Went to his wedding as well. But he had his bachelor in Vegas. And that was my first... God damn, I'm burping so much today. He had his bachelor party in Vegas. So we went to that. and it was fun, but I kept thinking, I'm like, dude, I've never been to a magic show. I was trying to get my friends like, let's go to a magic show, dude. I want to see like some cool shit that they do. Vegas is like the spot. We did a lot of fun things. I went to the Sphere. We ate at the buffet, like one of the famous buffets. Obviously gambled. Dude, craps is such a fun fucking game. I think I would go back to Vegas just for craps. Anyways, the whole point is I never got to go to see a magic show. So I was like, dude, I want to do that. Like, it's Los Angeles. Like, it's a showbiz area. Like they gotta have magic shows out here. So I looked it up. It's obviously not on the scale of like David Blaine or whatever. But I kind of appreciated the smaller venue, and I realized I was like, oh, this is just like comedy. Like they have like different rooms, and they have different acts for different rooms. I was like, what would be cool is if I got to see like someone who's kind of in the smaller clubs, like in the smaller magic clubs. Like I want to see that shit, like the personal shit where the rooms only seat like 30 people, kind of like the Comedy Cellar. So I went, I think it was called the Black Rabbit or something. It's something Rabbit. It's pretty close. It's in Hollywood. And they actually make pretty good drinks too. The cocktails are pretty good. And I went there and I remember I bought the tickets, and they were very clear about this. They're like, you need to dress up. Like, you will be turned away if you are not dressed up. So I was like, all right. And apparently it's not just them. Like, different venues were also saying the same thing when I was like looking for a magic show. They're like, it's a suit and tie affair. And I was like, God damn, okay. So my fat ass got into my suit that was way too small for me. And I sucked in my stomach. And I prayed that my pants wouldn't burst open when I sat down. But I pulled up in my gray suit and black tie. And I didn't know this. Again, I went into this thing alone. But apparently it's a very couples thing to do. So a lot of the, not a lot, but like a lot of the interactive stuff that they did was involving couples and everything. So I was a bit left out from that, but it was still really cool. I saw some really, really fun acts. This one guy was really fucking cool. Everyone kept talking about a magic castle too. Apparently you got to be invited to go to this like magic castle, which I don't know. It sounds like some Epstein shit, but you know what I mean? Like I do kind of want to go, but it seems like really cool. I want to go check it out. But I didn't, the show itself was awesome. There were some fire acts. There was, I wish I remembered the guy's name. And, but it was, I liked how personal the show was, and, how intimate the seating was. And, I realized like there's such an overlap in comedy and magic. Because it's just both live entertainment, right? So a lot of the magicians would incorporate humor into their acts, which I had a pretty deep appreciation for. I was like, oh, it's not so different. I like the whole performance of it. I would go back. I want to go see. I want to go to Magic Castle, and I want to go to a different. How do I say it? I want to go see like one of those bigger magic shows as well. So that was a fun one. I got to cross that off finally after we couldn't do it in Vegas. That was number 11. Go to a magic show. Number 13. Okay. Before I do this, I'm going to go to the bathroom because this one's a good one. Number 13. Take a class. This one is probably my favorite one that I wrote down because it's so open-ended, and I didn't know what direction it would take me in, but the general idea was that I wanted to continue my education in some way, right? Whether that's a formal education, learning something about engineering that can further my career, or whether that's learning a new language, or, learning just what's out there, because there are so many structured ways to learn a new skill or learn something, because I think of it like this. So many things are behind locked doors, And when you learn how to do something useful, like when you learn a skill, when you acquire a skill, they're like keys, and you can unlock these doors and you get to go explore some new shit. Or sometimes, like with the new language, you get to do some shit that you've already done, but now you get to see a different part of it. Like if you've already been to a country, but you go back there and you now you can speak the language a little bit, it changes the experience like so much, right? I mean, to talk to people in their native tongue, there's so many things that you get to pick up on that it gets lost in translation, right? I didn't do that, but I'm just saying that's what was going on in my mind. Actually, what I did was I signed up for a voiceover class. That was one of the best things that I've ever done, man, because I know that at some point in my life, I'm not putting a timeline on it, but I know that all these skills that I'm learning right now, like the stand up, how it taught me comedic timing, how like it taught me how to perform, public speaking, modulating my voice. Entertainment is so cool because you can pick an avenue and it always is overlapped by so many different fields, right? So for me, I know that animation is something that I want to get into at some point in my life. In some way, I want to do the voices. I've always wanted to do the voices because as a kid, I would watch so much shows. I'm an only child, right? And I would just spend so much time in front of the TV, and it was just fun for me as a kid to just do the voices. And I would go to class, and like kids would come up to me, and like they would ask me to do the voices of the characters, and they would get a real kick out of it. And I was like, this is fun, like, and I didn't think it was like a career or anything, but I was like, why don't I just do that? Because I saw one of my friends suggested, he's like, if you want to take a course, like, you don't have to go to like USC or UCLA. Like, he's like, dude, just find out what's going on in your local community college. He's like, honestly, that's where like a lot of the culture is anyways, like a lot of people can't afford like all that, like the price tag that higher education has that comes along with it. And so I took him up, and he was right. There's the class itself was so cheap. It was like a 12-week course, and you got a discount if you signed up for like both. It was 2 6-week courses. It was a voiceover 1, voiceover 2 thing. So I just signed up for both of them. I'm like, fuck it, if I'm doing it, I'm gonna do it, right? So it was a weekly class. It was 3 hours once a week on Tuesdays, and it was remote. I would have liked to do it in person. That I wanted to get out of the house, but actually on a Tuesday, 7 to 10 p.m., it was kind of nice that it was remote. Because honestly, I was still working and the work was hard. So balancing that with my work, it was kind of nice. And, I already had the microphone, and I had the sound interface, and I was like, let me just really get into this, because at some point, if I want to get into animation, I got to understand how, the voices behind the scene, like it's one thing to just like, do the voices to your friends, when have them laugh at it. It's another thing to like actually go in to like make a sound booth, put insulation on the walls, and then like get the software in, like for me, it's Audacity, learn how to like, capture it in the best way, like how far to put your mouth behind the microphone. There's so many things, right? And on top of that, it's like voiceover work is everywhere. I didn't realize this because I was just thinking in terms of animation, right? But voiceover work is like in commercials, audiobooks, it's podcasting, it's everything, right? So I didn't realize this, and I was like, that course was so awesome. It gave me things to do also, which is something that I struggle with, is like, I want to create something, but it helped to have homework. And it was tasks, right? So, the homework was like doing a voiceover of, just random sides. They call them sides, which is basically like a script with instructions. So it'll be like, for a commercial, right? I think one of the first ones that I recorded was like for Aero Wi-Fi, and it was a very short script. It was like maybe 4 or 5 sentences, and I I went into my closet. I had all the clothes up that acted as a sound insulation. I recorded it. And then throughout the process, I learned how to edit it in the software to remove all the background noise. And then I learned how to do the filter curve, which adjusts certain frequencies of the sounds. So I realized there's so much more that goes into just capturing sound. Because even after, and from that class, by the way, I learned so many things that I now translate into podcasting. Now I'm gonna capture this audio here, and then I'm gonna go into Audacity, and then I have a separate filter curve for podcasting, because the way I talk in podcasting is very different from real life, and it's also different from the way that I voice act. Right? When I voice act, if it's for a commercial, it's very different. Right? It's just like download Aero Wi-Fi today. You can save 15%. It's very different, right? From what I'm doing right now, it's very much more conversational. So I learned that there's so much more. Again, like it was something that I guess my outlook on the voiceover stuff for animation, I was like, I'll figure it out anyways. It's just voices. I already do that. I knew almost nothing when I came into that course. And it was awesome to get those assignments to every week I learned something new. And, there was a real breakthrough that I had when I was doing that, because I would submit it. And then for the first few weeks, I was doing pretty well. And, the teacher gave really, really good feedback as well. And he was giving me feedback. Then one week I submitted it. There was a different sort of assignment. It wasn't the usual commercial one. It was more of like the role was for a father talking to a son. And I had to, I was the father, and he wanted me to read lines in front of the class as a father would to a son, teaching him a lesson, right? But I had done so well up to this point doing that commercial voice that I kind of did that same commercial voice for the father and the son. And this is the great thing about teachers, man. He immediately clocked it and explained in such a nice way, which I was a little embarrassed at first, because it's hard to receive feedback on something that you're creative with, I guess, in front of an audience especially. But after a while, I realized how right he was. What he said was, it sounds like you think you have to sound a certain way. And he's like, your voice is good enough. He's like, you don't have to make your voice deeper. You don't have to, you're not trying to be someone else. He's like, the point of this exercise is to feel the emotions of the words. And he's like, your voice is plenty fine. You don't have to pretend to be someone else's father. He's like, you are the father. Just speak as if, he's like, because I'm hearing you talk, and when you give advice to, because other people would have like software connection issues, so I would like explain to them how to like do the Zoom shit or like connect their microphone and everything. And he's like, when you're explaining that stuff to your classmates, your voice is different. But then when I ask you to read something, you put on this deeper tone. And he's like, I don't know if that makes you feel comfortable. And he's like, but I want you to realize that's something you got to get over. And I was like, whoa, that's such a good observation. And he clocked it so fast. And so for the homework assignment that week, I think it was something similar. So it was an anime thing, because that's another aspect of voiceover work, is like anime dubbing, right? So he's like, he gave that assignment, and then I caught myself in my closet doing the voiceover for the homework, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing it again. I'm like, why am I going so deep with this voice, right? And then I just let it go, and then I just like took a deep breath, and then I just read it as if it was just me reading, right? And it was so much better. Like, you could hear the modulation of the voice. You could hear like the character was very conniving, right? So you can hear like, why don't you do this instead? Why do you have to go with them? Right? So like I was getting into, and I was like, oh shit, when I let go of how I thought I needed to sound, it just came out so much better. And then I didn't even say anything. I played that back the next week, and then we listened to it, and then he's so animated. He played it back, and he was just like, that's it right there. That was it. You let go. and see what happens. And I was like, dude, fuck, I really got my money's worth, dude. But, and that was just so like, it was a real breakthrough for me, right? Because he was so right, and he nailed something that was like, you're enough, right? You as you are enough. And yeah, you can do an impression to sound like something else. Like that's another thing, but you shouldn't have to feel like that all the time, right? And that translates to everything, right? Your voice is you. This voice is me. And whatever it is that you are, not just your vocal voice, I'm saying your thoughts and your opinions, those are enough too, right? Whatever you are the way you are because of the things you've done and the things you've experienced, right? That's enough. And that was like a huge takeaway that I got from it that I've applied in so many different aspects of my life now. I stopped trying to be this thing that other people wanted me to be, because they don't know me. And if I'm more comfortable with whatever it is that I'm doing and the way that I present myself, if I'm okay with it, then other people will too. And if they're not, then who cares, right? They don't know what's best. So that was such an important moment for me. I love that he clocked that so fast. And it was so funny. I was like cracking up when he was just like, because I was happy that I had that breakthrough. But man, when I played that audio and in front of the class, he was so happy. He even said it himself. He's like, see, that's what a teacher is, man. And, we just kept going. And the rest of that was only like week 5 or 6 or something. And then we just kept going, and it became so much easier because it made the rest of the class easier. Every task, it was just, this is me, you know? And I'm not going to be made for every role, but whatever roles I get, I know I'm going to be good for, because I don't have to pretend to be something I'm not, you know? They call it acting, but a lot of it's just being true to yourself while taking on this mask. It's acting, but it's not, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, what a fantastic idea taking a class was. I had no idea that it was going to go into this creative space. I had no idea that it was going to go into voice acting, and I had no idea that it was going to impact my life in such a way. You know, I stopped that whole thing of like, you are enough. It led to me acting, behaving in a way where I carried my own authority in my decisions in my life. I let go of people who weren't on board with that, and they noticed immediately too. You know, that's the thing. When you start doing things for yourself and not trying to like impress others or whatever, they start picking up on it, because they're like, wait a second, he used to be very he used to want my approval. Now he doesn't. Why doesn't he want my approval? Right? People will clock that, and some of them will just drop you, but a lot of them will kind of seek that again. They'll be like, they'll reach out a little bit harder, you know? So the way that you carry yourself, you know, don't do it based on how you think other people will react to it. Because I promise you, no matter what you do, even if you're fucking perfect, people will find a reason to just not like you, right? So you just got to get over it. And that was awesome. Taking a class, man. I honestly, I should probably write that. Did I write it down? Anyways, we'll get to it later. But I want to do that again. I think I took a different class too. That wasn't the only class I took. I also I took a cooking class. I took a pupusa class on my actual birthday, and that one was a little bit underwhelming. It was kind of cool. It was at a pretty iconic place. Apparently iconic in LA. And they taught us how to make pupusas, but it was a little bit too pre-packaged for my taste. I was hoping to, like learn how to actually make the dough and everything like that. But then they're like, oh, the dough's already made for you. You just got to like put the spices, and like the spices were already measured out in like little cups. Whatever. I needed something to do on my actual birthday so that I didn't just like sit at home and like, I don't know, take an edible and watch a movie, which I probably would have had more fun, but whatever. I made some pupusas. They were good. But really, man, the voice acting class, what a fantastic little pivot in my life. Because I just feel like that opened, again, doing that, I'm not saying I mastered anything, but I started the process of something new that I wanted to do. And it actually led to so many opportunities. It drastically changed my life because I started submitting for auditions for voiceovers because the teacher was just like, dude, do it. Like, he's like, why not? He's like, let them reject you. He's like, why do you have to, he's like, what are you waiting for? Like, I taught you how to do it. I gave you all the websites. And he's like, just do it. And I submitted for one and I got my first pin. And I'm a dumbass. And so I don't know these industry terms. So the casting agency reaches out to me and they're like, hey, Neel, we just want to let you know that we have you pinned for this role. And so I get in my class and I'm just like, guys, I got a role. And my teacher's like, what? And he's just like, let me see the email. And he's just like, oh, you got pinned for a role. He's like, did you respond to it? And I'm like, what does this mean? And apparently being pinned is like they're looking for avails, like to see what your availability for that date for the shoot is. And he explained to me, he's like, it's like a final round interview basically. And he's like, this is really good news. First of all, he's like, I don't want you to be disheartened, but you didn't get the role. You basically made their top selection. Like, he's like, there's probably only like 2 or 3 other people that they're considering, but you're one of them. And it's a paid role, right? I mean, if I got it, it would have been like, it would have been enough. It would have been several $100s, which is a lot of money for someone like who 6 weeks ago didn't even know that this was a profitable thing. I just thought that I could do funny voices and I could kind of record them and edit them and then put eventually learn how to draw and animate things and make my own things. I didn't know I could fucking make money off of this for someone else's shit. So that he's just like, yeah, like this is the whole thing, man. Like you can make your money. He's just like, okay. And then we worked through it together. And then he told me how to respond to the avails thing. I think maybe, I don't know. I didn't get it obviously, but he wanted to emphasize, he's like, dude, this was like your 3rd submission and you already got an avail. He's like, I know people who've been doing this for like years and they don't get like even an avail. Like they submit auditions like weekly and they don't get it. So it was very nice. And at the end of the course, he told me he gave me his phone number and he was just like, yeah, reach out to me. And he didn't really say anything, but then when I reached out to him, he's just like, oh, I'm glad you reached out. Listen, I'm actually, are you interested in commercial and print work? And I didn't know what that was. But he said that he's an agent and I was like, oh. And I knew, all this stuff is really new to me. I think maybe some of you guys know how this like stuff in entertainment works, but I didn't know these terms like managers, agents. Like I didn't know the differences between them, what the responsibilities were, or like how difficult it was. But I did know that it was difficult to get an agent. Like it takes a lot of cold calls and everything like that. So this guy just offered to be my agent. He's just like, anyways, on that avail that I got, he's just like, you know what, just put me down. He's like, I'll pretend to be your agent for this one. So I thought he was just pretending to be my agent to make me look more legit. No, he's an actual agent, right? So he, I guess, just reached out, and then I guess now I just have an agent for commercial and print work, which was way different than voiceover work. But he also sends me some voiceover stuff now too, to submit to. So now, all of a sudden now I'm like a commercial actor, right? And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't just write down, take a class, I didn't think that I could just sit in my room with a ring light and send auditions for these roles that pay up to like 10 grand. Like that's crazy to me, And since then I got 2 more avails, which is awesome, man. Obviously I'd love to get booked, but it's pretty encouraging again, I'm coming at it from a guy who like, I didn't know that this was profitable at all. I didn't know that you could do these things and people would take an interest in you, right? Which kind of drives his point further, is just like, you're enough, bro. Just put yourself out there and opportunities will come. So I started submitting for all that stuff. And I kind of learned how to do the self-tapes by myself too. Like he recommended I take another class on like acting itself and learn how to submit for self-tapes. I was like, let me watch a YouTube video first. And then I just bought a ring light. So I went full LA finally, really living up to the stereotype. But I got the ring light, and then I got a little space in my room now where I do my auditions and then I submit them. So I've submitted, I think 35, about 35, 40 auditions for just commercial, by the way. The rest of them, I think like maybe 15 or so more for voiceover work, for various things, whatever people want voiceover work for. If it's like, if it's at least $500, I'm submitting it, just seeing what happens. So that's been cool. I got 3 avails now. One of them was for a pretty big one too in New York. It was for a union job, and he was hyped about that. He's just like, whatever you're doing, man, just keep doing it. He's like, for a non-union person to get an avail for a union job, and they were if I got the role, they would have flown me out to New York. It would have been cool. But I mean, it was very, very encouraging. All I know is that I'm in the right direction. I'm doing something that I never thought that I could do before, and I'm putting myself out there for people to see in a way that's immediately returning results, right? Before, it's not about the money. It really, really isn't about the money. It's a great side effect to be paid for your work, but more so what I'm getting from all this is just putting yourself out there creatively, learning these different sides to entertainment, right? Because they're all going to tie in together at some point. Auditioning is a huge life skill. You audition not just for a role, you audition every day. What's an interview? You go to a job interview, that's an audition right there. That person that you are in that interview, I know that's not you, bro. Like on a Saturday at the club, like, yes, you are acting in that job interview, because you're a different person, right? You got to be a different person in your corporate world, right? So I'm seeing how so many things in my life are tying together, and these things, these different aspects of life, they're not really that different. They're really not. You still have to put yourself out there to get opportunities, and that's whether or not you're doing entertainment or not. You have to be okay with failure. I mean, I just told you I got like 40, 50 auditions, and I submitted for them. And by the way, that's auditions, right? You have to submit for these auditions, and sometimes they just dismiss you right away. So these are the 40 that they were like, okay, let's see what you got, right? So I must have submitted at least 200, maybe. I don't know. I don't count, because I don't want that number in my head. Like, I don't want to calculate the odds of like what I did. Like, oh, like how much money did I make per hour? Dude, it's not about that, right? What it's about is it's learning. It's a numbers game. It's not just talent. It's how much you put yourself out there and remind people you exist, right? You could be the smartest person in the world, the most talented at whatever you do, but who cares if no one sees you, right? So that's the biggest takeaway that I got from this whole thing. And like I said, man, I mean, remember, we're still talking about 25 things that I did in 2025. So this is number 13, take a class, right? It started this whole momentum of like this shift in my life where now I have something to do, and not just something to do, but it's stimulating that creative side of me that has been pent up for so long since coming back from New York, right? And this is what I meant about like returning to stand-up. It's like, do I want to return to stand-up comedy, or do I want to return to creativity in any manner, right? I mean, some people who are like full-time actors, I can see them like looking at commercial work and being like, I'm trying to be in like a TV or like a TV show or like a film. I want to be like a serious actor. But to me, it's all new to me, it's all, and I try to take each one of these things. Like if I see a commercial role and it's for like a spaghetti sauce, I'm fucking voicing the shit out of that spaghetti sauce, I'm going in, dude. I'm taking like 14, 15 different takes in my closet. I have to turn the AC off because I don't want the sound influencing the way that it gets into my microphone. So I turn it off and I'm sweating in my closet, and I'm doing all of that because I'm chasing this thing. And I realized this is it. What I'm doing right now, I might seem like a fucking madman in my closet in this weird little space in Koreatown with my microphone being like, make sure you get their spaghetti sauce. It's tasty. It's fucking weird when you think about it, but it's making me happy. And I'm I'm feeling like I'm flexing this muscle harder, this creative muscle. Feel like I'm doing that even harder than I was with the stand up in New York. And that's really cool because I never thought, I guess I just thought that I had to do stand up and I had to always do it. I know I will do it at some point and come back to it, but this is such a wonderful transition of creativity. And you know, it kind of ties in with the podcasting thing too. Like the stand-up door might have closed for a little bit, but it's not locked. I can open it at any time. I can go to a mic right after this if I wanted to. This is Los Angeles. They have mics at like fucking 11 p.m., you know? I can do it if I want to. But what I want to do right now is see where this voice acting thing goes and see where this podcasting thing goes. It's just, I didn't know there were so many possibilities. And it all started with me writing down in 2024, take a class, learn a new skill, see what's out there and what you're capable of. Number 14, storyboard an animation. I didn't do this. So 23 things of the 25 I did. 2 I did not. Number 1 was make kimchi. Number 2 was storyboard and animation. I don't know where to begin. I bought some 3x5 index cards a while back. Like I think I bought them in 2023, no, 4. And I just haven't really used them. But the idea was I saw this clip because I was getting really into it. I was like, how do they do it? How does regular show become regular show? You know? And I saw this video of JG Quintel, and it was so fucking cool to see him, man. He had like the same like index cards or whatever, and he put them up on like a board, a huge board, you know, the ones that like you would ask your mom to buy on like a Tuesday for like a presentation that your 3rd grade class had. Like he put it up on one of those, and he had like these index cards, and then he presented it to a bunch of people watching. I don't know if it was the writer's room or whatever, but then he was doing all the voices and acting it out, and he went through the full 10-minute episode of regular show. And I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know what I thought, like, but I'm like, it just starts with a pen and a paper, you know. It's so simple when you break it down. And I was looking at it, and they would show close-up shots of the storyboard, and I'm like, this isn't like I can draw this, you know. It looks nothing like the final product. And I realized the purpose of a storyboard isn't to look pretty, it's to convey an idea to other people who can, you know, then take that idea and then make it like better. So I was like, you know, when you think about it, I want to do an animation. Okay, where do you even start with that? Because that's a whole production. That's multiple hands doing multiple things at once, right? Where do you start with that? Because that was where my mind was at. I thought you needed a computer with software, and like you need to learn how to like do rigging and like 3D modeling, which I kind of already do for work, which is why it was a little bit interesting to me. Dude, it was none of that. First, it all starts with the idea. It was like, and this guy would like, he would show how he did the characters. Dude, sometimes it would just be stick figures. And I'm like, you made Mordecai and Rigby and Skips and Benson from like these stick figures and these voices? This is fucking awesome. I didn't know that it was like that simple. And apparently, you know, he did a lot of stuff earlier. Obviously, regular shows like a little bit later in his career. I think he was on Camp Laszlo as well. But he was very influential in so many cartoons that I saw, because then I did a deep dive. I'm like, I got to know more about this guy, J.G. Quintel, right? And then I started looking into it, and he's worked with so many people. Then I started looking into Tom Kenny, who did like the SpongeBob voices and everything. Then I started to see how SpongeBob was made, and then I started looking at like the storyboards for SpongeBob, which was called Sponge Boy in the beginning. And it was so inspiring to see all of this starting from these initial sketches. That's why, and then I realized, why am I limiting myself to just the voice? Like, why can't, and I was like, I could do everything. I can do this thing. I can do the sketches. I mean, I was looking at my journals. a few weeks ago, and I was looking at old. If I had a journal from 2017, and I would sketch, I would draw, and I was like, I can't believe I forgot that I like to do this. I forgot that I like to draw, and I'm not bad at it. And I'm like, these things are all tying together now. The voice, getting back into drawing, things are going into emotion, and I can see it. I can almost, I don't know where or I don't know when it's going to arrive, but an animation is on its way. And it all starts with a storyboard. And if I can convey my idea of how the story's going to go, what these characters roughly look like, even if it's a stick figure, if I can just make it kind of funny in a way, like, yeah, this is the predicament that they get in, and then they tumble down, and then, this is the problem, and then this is how the problem gets resolved, or it doesn't get resolved, right? And then these are the characters, and then these are their motives. Yeah, I mean, if you have some time, like, really look into like just someone like walking through a storyboard. It's really, really cool, man. Like, I mean, these guys getting paid to do it, but you can tell that it's not about them. For that, it's like secondary, right? They're doing it because they had this idea and they think it's really funny, and they need you to understand, like, this is the predicament that these characters are getting into. So at some point, I didn't get a chance to do it in 2025. I was racing to make this list because it'd be kind of embarrassing if I did only 10 things. I'm pretty happy with 23. I was hoping to do all 25. But yeah, man, these are the only two things: kimchi and storyboarding and animation, which by the way, I put it on my 2026 list. So at some point I'm definitely going to get back into the swing of things here. I'm a little bit behind on this year's list, but these two for sure. I got to get my idea down for a storyboard. I don't even look. I'm saying all this like as if I know what the characters look like, what the plot is. I have no idea. I just know that the power of writing it down. This is a personal journal. I'm choosing to share it with you, right? But it's a personal journal, and I'm saying this because just you think like, oh, writing it down, who's gonna see it? You are. You're gonna see it, and you're gonna look back at it, and you're gonna be like, oh, I wanted to do that, and you're gonna hold yourself accountable, because that's really the only way that you're gonna get things done. Again, don't do it because someone else expects you to or wants you to. You are enough. Storyboard and animation. I can't wait. That shit got me so fired up. I want to do it right now, but. What am I at? Almost 2 hours here. Okay, we can get through the rest of it. Number 15. Become a licensed engineer. This one, I did a majority of the work in 2024 by passing the PE exam. So to become a licensed mechanical engineer, you need to first pass your fundamentals of engineering exam, and then you need, I think, 4 years of experience. It varies from state to state, but you need some work experience, and then you need to pass your professional engineering exam. And I took mine in HVAC because I do like plumbing design, right? So I did majority of the work in 2024. That's what the PE exam. If you were wondering, by the way, in the last episode, what the fuck is the PE? That's what it was. It was just for. It's a certification that you get that allows you to stamp drawings that get sent to the city for approval for construction, right? So if something were to happen, I would be the engineer on record who is responsible for whatever happens when it's constructed, right? Pretty low risk for plumbing. It's more like fire protection stuff that gets kind of, people's lives are at stake. So you really want to be on top of your shit for that. I got mine in mechanical engineering. This one was awesome. Oh, and on top of all the things that I listed, you also need 4 recommendations from professional engineers. So people who have this license that have worked above you. So that have overseen your work. So again, this is another reminder. You can be the most talented person and you can be awesome at whatever you do. You can be the best at it even, right? But you need people. And I grew up an only child, and I've just learned to do so many things on my own. And sometimes I'll get bitter and I want to push people away and I want to do things by myself. But when I did all that stuff, and then I realized, I was like, wait, I need 4 people to tell this board of like licensure and like that I'm good enough. Like I was like, I passed your fucking exam. You know, what else do you want from me? And then I was like, community matters. Community matters. The people you know matters, you know. Same thing with stand-up, bro. The same like thing that was holding me back there mentally was like not wanting to collaborate with other people, not wanting to, you know, mingle and like just talk, put myself out there. I was so focused on the craft itself, which had its pros and cons. You know, I did self-produce my show, and I did all that on my own. But even then, I had to rely on a venue. I had to still meet the owner of the club and talk to them. I still had to talk to some openers, my friends at the time. It was easy. They were my friends, right? But I still had to, my friend, Brandon, who was also my coworker at the time, I had to ask him to tape it because he's more familiar with camera work and he knows exactly which specs to get. So I stepped back and I was like, all these things that I keep thinking that I do all by myself, I am relying on people too. There's really, I can't think of a single thing. Now, if you really think about it, what do you really do by yourself, right? So I started opening up a lot more to this idea of accepting other people's help, collaborating with people. Because I'm an introvert at heart, but if you can't accept the fact that you're going to have to lean on people to get your vision done, you're not going to get it done. You have to delegate some things, and you have to trust in others as well. So that's for the licensure part. You know, it's corporate, whatever. These people, I just asked them. I was just like, hey, you know, you're a professional engineer. I'm applying for this. Would you mind putting a recommendation for me? And it's a reminder to myself, like, I'm being humble. Like, I can't always be the king and demand things and be like, no, you should respect me. You should do this for me. It was like me being like, hey, I know you have a really busy schedule. Can you take time out of your day and write a letter of recommendation? And it was like kind of complex. I had to send them like this thing, and I was like, okay, I put your name down. What's your address? What's your like, and, you know, so it took a lot of time on their part. And I realized I was leaning on them. I was like humbly asking for them, and their time and their energy, which is a rare thing that people will give you these days. So I was pretty glad that I had people that were willing to do that. 4 of them, even, you know. They're not, and they're professional connections, but, you know, I doubt that they're ever going to see this, but I hope that they understand that I'm pretty grateful for that, because it reminded me of my stand-up stuff too. And it reminded me that other people are inevitable. You can't really do all this stuff by yourself. And it led to so much more, man. Getting that licensure, it really elevated my career in a way that I never saw possible. I mean, first of all, people really respect it in my industry. It just gives you a level of, I don't want to say authority, but like people are like, they're like, oh, he knows his shit, you know? So I stopped being the guy going to someone to ask questions to, and people started coming to me to ask questions now. And what was even crazier was just like, oh, I know the answer. So there was a lot of empowerment, I want to say, that came with that, because I always saw myself as kind of rebellious from the corporate side of things. I never thought that I could be both successful in the corporate world and the creative world. I thought I had to pick between the two. So it was nice to balance this list out, because this list so far, everything that I've listed was like either things to do, things like creatively to engage myself, or just revisiting things that I'm already interested in. And then to throw in the licensure part, it was nice. It was a nice balance to everything, because the reality is, you can be a rebel, you can hate the corporate world, you can hate your 9 to 5. I don't care, man. The fact is, most people, they need the bread. You can't have your evening routine without your 9 to 5, right? You need that to fund your lifestyle. So, and I stopped being a lot bitter about it. Like, yeah, dude. I mean, I guess if in this hypothetical world, like, yeah, I'm a CEO, and I have people work for me. Like, all right, dude. Like, I don't know. You're gonna work at some point. Even the entertainment stuff. Like, you think I enjoy going back into this podcasting and editing, like, the thing? I don't like editing, but I do it because it's work and it's gonna lead to something greater. Does that make sense? Like no matter what, even if you're doing the thing, like whatever your dream job is, dude, whatever your dream job is, just think of it right now, right? That has work. It has work that you don't want to do, right? So if you have this mentality about your 9 to 5, like, oh, this is just annoying, like, I wish I wasn't doing it, you're gonna carry that same mentality whenever you do reach your peak job. So it's important to not be bitter about the things that you already have right now. And that's what I realized for myself. I was like, this job is allowing me to do all these things. I wouldn't be in LA if it wasn't for this job. I wouldn't fucking have the money to go take that class, that voiceover class, and have that amazing experience. I wouldn't have any of that. Like, there are actors who don't get to do this. They have to bust tables. I'm sure they don't love that either, but it's more about the mindset that you have about the opportunities you currently have, man. Because there's always, and I know, like, some of my friends too are, well, not some, all my friends are successful. Like, and a lot of them are more successful than me. And sometimes it gets in my head and it makes me forget the things that I have. But there's always a bigger fish. I forget that sometimes people look up to me too. The licensure part is cool because it also gets me into, like, the middle to senior part of my career. And now I'm talking to people who are, like, fresh out of college. And again, just answering their questions, I guess, it made me realize, I'm like, oh man, I'm not that young anymore. I'm, like, reaching this point of seniority and agency in my own life. And it's kind of nice to see that being matched in the corporate world. Number 16, hike. I can't believe I was in New York as long as I was, 4.5, 5 years. And I went on one hike. It's concrete jungle out there, man. I used to hike so much in college and in high school, not even just to stay fit, but because I guess I just really enjoyed being in nature. It's the mental part of being in nature. It's such a great reset emotionally. Whether you're having a good day or you're having a bad day, a rough week, a good year, going out and getting into nature, whether it's the beach, whether it's staring at the stars in Joshua Tree or at Griffith Observatory, going on a hike, these things, there's something about it that keeps you connected to Earth in a way that a spreadsheet on a computer just saps away, right? I forgot that I like to do that. And that's what a lot of this list is I forgot that I like to do so many things. I forgot that I like to draw. I forgot that I like to cook. When you're depressed, you forget these things. And in New York, I guess, as fun as New York was, as amazing as a time as it was, there's just something about California that New York can never match. And it's the balance of the nature with the city lifestyle, right? If you ask me what the best city to live in is, I'd be like New York City, no doubt. But I am a healthier person by far because of the nature that California has to offer. So I knew New York was never going to be like a full-time thing. But yeah, when I came back here, I was like, dude, I got to go on some fucking hikes, man. Not only that, when I started doing this, I didn't have a gym membership, and I had started my OMAD fasting thing. So I was like, you know what would help me lose weight is not only the dieting part, is if I get some exercise. And I didn't want to pay for the gym membership, and I didn't really go to my apartment gym all that much. It's not very inspiring to work out in. So I was like, fuck it, let me just go on some hikes. There's got to be some cool shit out here. And I found the Los Angeles National Forest. It's like 25 minutes on a good day away from me, and it's so close. And the drive is beautiful, man. Oh, amazing. The drive is like half the fun of like doing the actual hike. So I went to REI and I got like the parking pass or whatever. I got some hiking gear, and I started doing like every Saturday for I think like 8 weeks, maybe 10. It was a real phase. Like I did it for like every Saturday religiously. I would go on a different hike, and I was going to Angeles National Forest. I went to Santa Monica Mountains, which was tough because of the fires and everything. But after it opened up, I did get to go on the tallest mountain there. I forget what it's called. It's nothing crazy, by the way. You do most of it by driving, but it was still really cool views. And I was getting exercise. And so this is before like the fitness and everything, all the gym stuff was lining up. So it was nice because I was revisiting like, oh man, I forgot that I'm an athlete. I forget that like I like to do this. I like to burn a sweat, like break a sweat and like feel my muscles getting sore. And the views were great, dude. That's the best part about hiking is the view. I mean, if you take me on a hike and you're like, oh, it's for the exercise, and the view sucks, I'm gonna hate you. I'm hiking for the view because I want to know that there's a reward at the end of this, bro. So my favorite one, actually when I did this one of the first few hikes that I did, I don't know if it was an ego thing or whatever, but I went on all trails, and then I saw, it tells you the difficulty, and then one of them said hard. It was Strawberry Peak. And I was like, how hard could it be, right? And it was the first hike that I couldn't finish. I literally had to turn around and go back. And it wasn't, you know what? It was fine. It was like a 7.5 mile hike, but it was the last 0.9 miles of it was insane. It just stops being like a steady thing, and then it just becomes a sharp incline. There were parts where like I literally felt like I was rock climbing, and I was like, yo, I can't do this. And you know what sucked? That day, I literally took everything in me because it was such a blow to my ego, and it was early on, and I was still pretty heavy. So I'm like, damn, I really am that fat fuck that can't do this hike. And so I turned around, and on my way back, I saw so many people doing it. Dude, I saw a 70-year-old guy. Bro, this guy had like the sticks and everything. He was old as fuck, and he was just by himself. And he was passing me, and he as he's passing me, he's just like, how's the view up there? And I was just like, I couldn't do it, man. And I think he saw how sad I was or whatever. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. You'll come back and you'll be stronger, and you'll do it right. And I was like, bro, how did you know I needed that? And he's just started talking to me, and he just stopped to have this conversation. And I was like, how are you doing it? And then he's just like, oh, I do this every week. And I was like, all right, dude. Whoa. Like, you got to find a way to keep your mind active at my age. And he be grateful.
You'll get to it. You'll do a lot of things.
Then I was like having this existential conversation with this like old guy on this hill, and I was like out of breath, but at the same time inspired. And then the last thing he said to me was just,
I'm gonna get going, but listen, you came this far. Don't let it ruin such a beautiful day.
and he smiled and he just walked up. I was like, that was so profound. What a fucking wise guy that was. And then I turned around and I'm like, that's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to let it ruin my day. It was a beautiful day. Dude, I got amazing pictures. I actually put one, I want to print them out and hang them, but I put one as my background because it's fucking awesome what a view I had. And the view is this is the view that I have on my background here. It's from the day that I couldn't complete the hike. And it's such a beautiful day. And I look at it and I'm like, that guy was so right. Like, why would you let a shortcoming like that just ruin it? He's like, you're doing it to yourself is basically what he was saying. He's like, cheer up. You know, you'll come back and you'll do it stronger. And so I went back and I was very sore. I stretched at home. And then I was like, you know what? I can do it. I know I can do it. I don't know why I turned around and it was like filling me up with rage. And then the following Saturday, I actually got some better gear because I was in like, I was wearing like shorts that were a little bit old, like a t-shirt. It wasn't the right, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying these are the reasons why I couldn't do the hike. I'm just saying I didn't have the right tools. So I just went to REI and I was like, you know what? Let me just get some fucking nice clothes, like clothes that are meant for hiking, like some nice shoe. I had the right boots and everything, but I got like a nice backpack too, so it wasn't like weighing me down, like the one with straps and everything. And I went back the following Saturday, and it was tough, and I took a lot of breaks, but I did complete the hike. And I thought about that old guy the entire way. Unfortunately, it was a really, really cloudy day. And I knew it wasn't like optimal condition for hiking because by the time I was already like up the mountain from the drive, you could barely see in front of you. But I was determined to go. And, it looked pretty cool for what it was. Like it just looked really, really, all the mist and like the clouds. It looked completely different than the week before. Like the pictures that I was getting on the time that I did complete the hike were nothing like the day that I failed it. But that was such a, like, I'm like, dude, did that guy even exist? I'm like, was I just like having a heat stroke and I imagined this guy, like, and I was just talking to myself on the side of a hill? He was just so encouraging in such a graceful manner. So yeah, I wanted to get back into it. And it felt good to conquer that hike, man. I don't have to do the hardest hike of all time, but it was good because I knew that I can accomplish it. And one of my favorite things about hiking is that it's weird. I love it for the view. And when I'm hiking up there, there's always, every single time, there's always a period of when I'm going up the incline. I'm like, why the fuck do I do this? Like, I don't like this. I hate this. Like, why am I doing this? This is so dumb. Like, the sweat's in my eye, the sunscreen's rubbing off, and it's getting my eye. I'm like, now I'm itching. Like, my clothes are soaked. Like, my backpack's heavy. My traps are sore. And I just get into my head. But then I just get over it. And then I do the thing and I get to the top and I'm like, yeah, it was worth it. But it's funny because every time I do a hike, I'll literally forget all of it. I'll say all this right now and I'll go on a hike tomorrow. And then on the incline, I'll be like, dude, I fucking hate this. But then when I get to the top, I'm like, oh, I did something. I did something that I didn't want to do because I knew that it would feel good later. So hiking, returning back to the things that I enjoyed before New York, before my marriage. And in the same vein, number 17, play tennis. This was a long time coming, man. I mean, tennis was my life. I played like 8 hours a day during the summer, at least, you know. And even on school nights, I would go out. I would practice. I would have a bucket of balls. I had a ball machine. My dad would take me out, and he would run drills. You know, we would work on it. It was literally my life and my identity up until 16 when I had that back surgery. So when I wrote down play tennis, it wasn't just the physical act of picking my rackets back up, but it was more so like picking up something that I enjoyed in the past and picking it up with a new perspective. Because when I was young, I was doing it so much that my goal, the only thing I knew was tennis. All I knew was that I wanted to be a professional tennis player. And when I had that surgery and I returned after surgery and I started losing to like JV players, I never picked up a racket again for 11 years. More than that. Way more than that. Because I was so disheartened, you know? This sport that I loved, I forgot that I loved the sport. It became so much about winning and being at the top of what I do that I forgot that I love the sport. I love the game, you know? So when I wrote down play tennis, I remember thinking to myself, it's just a game. Enjoy it, you know? I don't need to win. I don't need to play a best of 5 set at Wimbledon. I can just pick up the racket and have a rally and go get a beer with my boys after, you know? So playing tennis again was more of an ego check than it was really anything physical. I know I could play the sport again. I'm probably limited in a lot of ways, especially after ACL surgery and back surgery. I'm not going to be at the level that I ever was at 16, 15, but I can appreciate where I was back then. And when I returned to it, oh man, I think I've said this before, but when I held the racket in my hand, it felt like, you know, that scene in Harry Potter when he gets the wand chooses him. Like I had an insane flashback. Like the grip itself, the grip hasn't been changed since I put the racket down in high school. And so when I held it in my hands at the tennis court, I think I played in November. I went back to visit some friends for Thanksgiving, and I hit up some of my old tennis buddies, and we played at night, and it was what a blast. It was great. But when I held the racket for the first time in my hand, I couldn't, like, for a second, I was kind of like shocked because it brought back a floodgate of memories. I was just like, whoa, like I smelled the smell of like the fresh tennis balls after you open a can. There was no can nearby, but when I held the racket, I smelled it. I remembered like lunches that my mom used to pack for tennis tournaments. I remembered biking to the high school courts with my tennis bag on my back during the summer before I played, before I even entered high school. I remembered how the new house that I had just moved into smelled again. And all of that came back all at once when I held it in my hand. I mean, I didn't think it was that powerful. I didn't think that. I guess what that means is like there was so much like blocked mentally that I just opened up by just accepting it back into my life. I just forgot that it was who I was and who I am. So playing tennis and it was so fun, man. Oh, I was having a blast. Like, and yeah, I was missing a lot of balls. Like, I mean, I'm saying I straight up whiffed a couple of balls, but 30 minutes in, I was getting some pretty good rallies in, and I remember the first time I ran around. This was in November when I picked it up. I was playing a guy. It was a group of 4 of us, and then we were playing like a game where it was like just singles, and then we would swap out. And then I had to win 3 points, so I had won 2 points already. And then the guy hit kind of a short ball to my backhand, but it was slow, so I ran around and I hit an inside out backhand, and I grunted and I went bang, and I hit an inside out winner, and everyone just started like going nuts. So like, yo, he's back, that's it. Like, because that was the first winner I hit that night, and that feeling was so fun, man. It wasn't, and I realized, I'm like, dude, I love this sport. I love the fact that I can just do an activity with these guys that I haven't caught up with in years. It was a great emotional release. Like, really, really, really glad. I mean, I haven't played since. I'm playing next week again now, but I want to join some sort of club now, or something where I get to reintroduce it back into my life in some sort of non-serious way. And it does help with the weight loss, obviously. I don't have to go to the gym 4 times a week. I mean, I can just go play tennis sometimes, and it's fun. It's just it's a game, right? It hits so many aspects. It hits the nostalgia. It hits the playfulness. It hits the athleticism and working out, dieting, and everything. It just plays into it, and it's personality too. So, playing tennis was a great one that I put on there. That was number 17. We talked about number 18, which was performing on a Book to Page show. Number 19, start a book collection. This one I started because I bought this bookshelf and I realized I have no books besides my journals. But I was like, I don't know, it felt like a funny kind of like Gatsby moment where I was just like, yo, I'm not even a big book guy. Like I used to read a lot when I was a kid and everything, but I wrote down start book collection. But what it ended up being, so I went to the last bookstore in LA, downtown, and I got like 4 or 5 books, pretty good price, whatever, like $10. It was cool. I started to read a couple of them, but I never really finished any of them. I just kind of stuck them on the shelf, and now they're just like performative as fuck. They're just sitting there, and it's taking up space. They're not really defining who I am. I think I'm big on that. Like if I have something in my life, like in my apartment, for example, I feel like I want it there because there's a reason behind it. Like there's a story behind it, or this thing in my apartment is a reflection of me, right? So this is my interests, or this is what I like to do. Like I have the thing. What do I have up there? Yeah, from the first episode, you can see the spine thing. I got a little plaque from Ashray for my thing, and then you just have like my yearbooks that I got brought back. Some books on there. The board games. That was a fun one that I put on there because I love games. I got my poker set at the bottom that I. In Vegas, I won. I just won a shit ton of money, and instead of like, I was just like, wait, I can spend this money and get like a nice poker set. So I instead of like throwing it on a craps game and potentially losing it, now I have a really nice poker set down there. And I got some memories up there. I got my journals up top. I got my piggy bank, the Winnie the Pooh piggy bank up there. That's something that I had since Australia, I want to say. I lived there when I was a kid. I learned my English there. My parents gave me that to start collecting. The Ganesh up there, my mom gave me that when I moved to Los Angeles. She's like, keep it in your apartment. I guess, I don't know, maybe it's like watching over me. I thought it just looked cool. I put a plant up there for decor, and then I got this little incense holder guy because I realized my apartment could use a bit of a spruce up with me just sitting in here all day, and I'm not a big candle guy, but the incense guy was funny, man, because I was looking for an incense holder, and then Amazon was just like, we think you'll like this samurai who can hold an incense. I'm like, how did you know? How did you know that that's exactly what I wanted? So he's holding it like a sword, but it, that's the incense holder. And but behind it is really the core of what this goal was. Starting a book collection, a little bit performative, not really my thing. I'm more of an audiobook guy these days anyways. The books that I'm into are more like self-help books anyways, because that's the kind of stuff I find really interesting now. I'm not like one of those guys that like reads Kurt Vonnegut or whatever. I'm just not. I'll watch like an old like film. Like I'll watch like a really old like black and white film, like filmed in Russia or something like that. I'll find that really interesting. And I'm like, wait, why don't I just do that? I'm like, I wrote start a book collection, but why don't I just start? Because I got into this weird thing where I was like super fixated. I was like getting pissed off because I was like, I wanted to watch The Godfather. And then I was like, dude, I don't want to fucking pay Amazon like $6 to just watch it. And then like it's like, oh, but you can buy it for 10. And I'm like, really? You're gonna make me buy a $10? It's like it's a fucking file. Like if I really want to own it, I'll just go torrent it and then I'll fucking have it on a thumb drive. And I'm like, but that's not cool, you know? And then I was just like, oh shit, maybe I should just start collecting Blu-rays. Cause this is much more like reflective of who I am and what my interests are. You know, I love Blu-ray. I love movies, bro. I love movies and I love TV and I just love just watching it because you learn so much just watching it every single time, dude. And so I started collecting them. And I felt so much more fulfilled when I started doing that because now I'm like, I can just watch whatever I want, whenever I want. I don't need to rely on this streaming service to tell me, oh, like we have all the James Bond films. And it's like, it's not all of them. It's only the ones that performed well. So don't give me like 11 of the best ones. I want to see all of them, dude, even the bad ones. So I started collecting. I got a pretty good collection in there right now. I haven't bought some in a while because I've been spending a bit of money on other adventures this year. But I'm glad that I started the collection because it's so much more representative of who I am. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, there was always a kid who had like an interesting collection of things. Like, you know, I was like, as a kid, I was like, I want to collect things. I want to be cool. But I never knew what to collect. Like, I knew a guy who would collect quarters. Like, and he had like a quarter for every single quarter except for a couple. He was like missing them. Like, and he was super like obsessive about it. I was like, well, anything that I thought of collecting, like, it just felt like it wasn't representative of me. So the Blu-ray stuff is awesome, man, because they're cheap too. Like, you know, you can make it expensive if you really want to get the 4K HDR ones, which I will for certain films. You know, for like, I think I have 2001: A Space Odyssey is a Blu-ray. That I need to upgrade to a 4K HDR. You know, because he got the fucking the award. Was it Oscar? Yeah, he got that for visual effects, right? I feel like I have to get the 4K HDR one for that one. But a lot of them, you know, and that's the thing when I started doing a deep dive, I'm like, some of these films, like they max out at Blu-ray, right? Because they're filmed in such a way where you're not getting anything more if you buy a 4K HDR thing. So again, I was just getting into the technical details of it all, and I was just like, there's so much that I don't know, you know? But the point is, it's cheap. It's like I go to Amoeba Records here in Hollywood, and like I just go in there and like with $100, I come back with like 10 to like 15 Blu-rays, and now these are just movies that I have forever. And like I don't care that they're used; they're in great condition. If I pop them into my PlayStation, it works, and I can just watch the full movie. And what a fucking thing, dude! I forgot this existed, bro. I popped in the first. I forgot the first movie that I watched, but I brought it back and I put it in. And then I forgot they had like deleted scenes. They had behind the scenes footage. They had like how it's made for animations. I was like, yo, this is the shit that streaming stole from us, bro. Like I forgot this existed, all this extra stuff on the disc. That used to be the motivating factor. Like, yeah, you saw the film in theaters, but now don't you want to see behind the scenes? Order now. You can get $19.99 2-disc display. And it's like, that used to be the thing, bro. I used to see ads for it. And now I just have them. Now I have so many of these wonderful movies, and I'm nowhere near reaching my collection point. At some point, I gotta throw some David Lynch films on there. That's one of my goals this year, is to collect his stuff, because I took a course. My favorite class in college was film directors, and David Lynch was the topic for that quarter, and I had no idea who he was until then. And I didn't even appreciate most of his stuff until later on, and I started seeing his influence everywhere else. And then I was like, dude, I think it's time I got to revisit his films. So I loved it. I wrote down. See, not these things aren't perfect. Like, I haven't, but there is a reason, right? There's a reason why I wrote it down in here so starting a book collection. Like, yeah, you want to fill up the bookshelf. I built a bookshelf and now my apartment looks a little empty because I don't have anything to put in it. But don't just put things in your life. Don't just collect things just to collect them, right? Do it for yourself. Like, make it like, don't be a Gatsby. Just put shit in there that like you actually care about, and that the bookshelf was like a metaphor for like your life in general, like this apartment too. I try not to keep things like when I got souvenirs from traveling or anything, like I try to get something that's functional or something that like it has a meaning to it, right? So that to me, like the depth behind these material things, that goes a long way for me, and that I feel more fulfilled. So you know what, in a way, I did want to get rid of the books that I got. Like, I think it's like there's one called Fitting In, and I have fucking Dave Ramsey's shit, a coach on how to deal with money and shit. Like, I don't know why I bought that, but it was like $3, and I was like, fuck it. So, but the movies, man, they very fulfilling. God, it makes me want to go out now, but there's so many things I could spend my money on. If I start going now, it won't stop, bro. I got a spending habit. But, when you can, it's nice to, when you see like a Blu-ray or something like that, like something that you want to own and just have forever. And it's also nice because I like to think that when I have kids, I'm going to show them the good stuff. I'm not going to let them like wallow away in some fucking dumb shit that the streaming service is like, well, everyone in this country thinks this is a great watch. And it's just like, yeah, but it's garbage, I'm going to show them the stuff that I'm interested in and that I think is influential. So that's a nice feeling too, is like this stuff will live on. That was number 19. Number 20, post my special. This one, my stand-up special, Neel Stands Up. This one is different than number 2, which is start my podcast. So the choice of words was intentional here. So I wanted to start my podcast, but I wanted to post my special. This is really interesting one for me, but I'm gonna have to. Fuck, I gotta pee again. All right, one sec. All right. I gotta wrap this up, man. I think my battery's gonna die any minute now. But we got the sound going anyway. So post my special. Yeah. So I wanted to post this special. I taped it in July of 2023, and it took so long. I mean, I talked about it in the first episode, so I won't get too deep into it, but it took so long to post it to the point where the hype died down. Even I wasn't that excited. It felt more like a chore just to get it out of the way, because it felt like it was such a thing of the past for me. And I wanted to post it. And the way that I posted it was pretty cool. Because how do I say it? Like, I enjoyed everything that I did, obviously, for the special. It was a lot of work. It was a body of work. It was 5 years worth of jokes. And I'm very proud of it. And it was a self-produced thing, and it was a vision that I made real, and it was a long-form piece of content that It lined up with everything that I wanted to do. But at a certain point, I was like, I just want to get this over with, and I want to move on, because I realized this special, it used to be this thing that it was driving me towards, like, progression. It was driving me towards a bigger vision as an artist. And then now I'm in LA, and I realized that the thing that was inspiring me and driving me forward, now it was holding me back, because I needed to just post it and move on. I had to stop thinking of it as a peak. It was one of the peaks, but I got to do better. I got to, and that doesn't just mean do a better special. It means do bigger and better things and different things even, So I realized, I was like, I just got to get this over with. And it took a while, because I didn't have the specs to edit it on my laptop. So I had to justify spending a bunch of money. I mean, I didn't have to, but like, I was like, if I'm going to get a new laptop for this anyways, I'm going to rig it so that I can do animation work in the future. I was a bit of a snob, and I didn't want to go get a Windows. So I decided to get the new MacBooks. But anyways, it was fucking expensive, dude. The whole thing, even with the educational store discount, I used my, I don't think you have to do this, but I told them that I was a student at the community college where I was doing the voiceover class. So it worked. They gave me a little bit of discount there. Dude, even with that, it was like $5,000 for fucking this, but it was either that, in my mind. I mean, I probably could have gotten it done for cheaper, but it was either that, or like it wouldn't even load Premiere Pro with all the footage. Like, it was 3 4K footages, and then 5 high quality audios. And dude, forget about it, because my old machine was from 2013, and it couldn't even handle like iPhone footage, like not even 4K. I would tape my sets, right, in like just HD, like 720, and I would upload it and then try to edit it for captions in New York, and it was like lagging on just that. So I'm like, dude, I'm not even gonna try the fucking. I mean, I did, but it didn't work. Obviously, it didn't even. I would hit play, and then it would take like a full like minute or two to even like start playing. And I'm like, this is going to be impossible. So I was like, yeah, I got to post the special, but it's going to be dependent on like this technical. So I was even looking into like, can I rent it, like a space? Like, is there like a place where I can go where, like a computer lab or something like that? Like I asked my friends if I could like, maybe like, I know someone that's a student or something, that I can like go bring my thumb drive with all the files. And then I was like, I'm going to need the computer anyways. And I viewed it as an investment into, this side of me, right? And when I realized it was an investment and not like something holding me back, but something to look forward to, it made spending the money a little bit better. So yeah, like every time I think I'm saving money and I'm doing well, like it's just, I don't regret it at all. I'm really glad that I did it, but it was a lot of money. $5,000 goes a long way. That's a luxurious vacation for me. I don't know how you guys live, but that's a nice vacation, maybe even 2. But I spent it on this machine, and it's a beast. It's fantastic. I mean, it streamlined everything. I got really into editing back when I bought this machine, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is what, without the lags and without the hitch of the hiccups and everything like that. I like editing. It's fun. And now I can finally do it with this body of work. So this is what I mean by earlier when I was talking, like, for me, the performance of the special, that was the best part, right? The live performance, actually doing the jokes, hearing the laughter live, seeing people in the flesh. And that was my peak, right? That was my peak job. Like that's how I viewed it. But then there's this annoying part, that the work, right? The actual work of going in, seeing the files. Okay, do I want this camera angle, this one or this one? Do I want to zoom in here? Or, that's the work that I'm talking about. That's the annoying part that you still have to do for any job, right? And not to mention just affording it to begin with. So I got back into that, and I I was spending nights, man. My eyes were like glitch, like they were freaking out because I would spend 8 to 10 hours at my day job, and then I would just immediately like shut down that laptop and then pull up my MacBook and then like start editing, and then and I would do that for like the next 4 or 5 hours, and then I was like learning color grading, and then I was learning how to like mix and match the audios because we had audios, and I had to learn how to sync up the audios. Not just sync them up, but I had to play around with their levels because some of the microphones were pointing towards the audience. One of them was pointing this way, one of them was pointing this way. So certain people's laughter, I had to like balance out with the sound. And then I had to match all that with the microphone that was pointed at the boom system, right? Now, normally for professionals, you want to line in the system, right? So that you can pick up exactly what's coming from the microphone. I didn't have that. And they didn't want to give me the access to that, understandable. But also it was just so, it's like, I managed to do what I could. And, the files that I got was literally a shotgun microphone pointed at the boom, like what do you call it? It's not a boom. What the fuck is it called? The PA system, like the speaker in the club. Like I just pointed a shotgun microphone at one of those. And I was like, fuck, I hope it works. And so that was my main mic. And I had to learn how to mix in the audience. And then I had to play around with the levels. And then I had to like see how it affected. So I had to edit the sound individually. Then I had to mix them together. Then I had to learn how to do the color grading because the comedy club was very orange. And I was like, why the fuck is everything so orange? And then like I remembered like all the lights in the club, for some reason they're like orange. It works on their brick layout in the back. So there was so much work that went into it. And I realized, I was like, dude, taping the special was like half of the job. I was like, I never finished the vision, bro. I never finished the job. So I was spending like nights, and my eyes were like giving me, I had to like look it up because my eyes, like it hurt. Like I was getting headaches from all the screen time that I was spending editing my thing and then like working. And I had to stop like bed rotting on my phone on Reels. I stopped responding to people. I really got into like this kind of a gremlin state where I would just be obsessively editing, which I missed. I'm not gonna lie, I missed that. Like when you're so tuned in, when you're locked in on something like that, you like to be that creature that's obsessed with it. And I posted, when I finished all of that, I did everything. I did the intro sequence. I had to learn how the licensure for music works. So I just ended up doing YouTube Audio Library. I didn't want to get too fancy. And also I was on a deadline. So I didn't post this until Christmas, December 25th, which meant that I had to actually get it done a lot sooner because I didn't want any hiccups. So I had to finish the actual editing. Then I had to give it some time and then like play it on not only my phone, but I wanted to play it on my TV, and then I wanted to play it with headphones. And then I wanted to make sure that the sound is right. It looks good on different screens. All that stuff, right? So there's that. So I had to do the final editing. Then I had to see how it looks, and then do any small revisions after that. Then I have to publish it and then upload it to YouTube, which takes it's overnight, right? So I realized, like, I was like, oh fuck, like I thought I had a month. Like really, I only have 2 weeks to finish this, and then it's like everything after that is like actually just the posting process, right? So I went through that, and it's funny. I'll talk about this, I guess. Number 25 on my list was travel outside of the U.S. We're on 20, which is post my special. But travel outside of the U.S. was a big one, and I thought it was a good one to finish my list off of. Right. So I'll get into that later. But I ended up going to Mexico City and Oaxaca. And so what happened was that my flight was on Christmas Eve, so the 24th, and I already released the release date for my special on social media. I put it as Christmas Day. So what happened was that I set it was already published and everything on my YouTube, and I set it to like 9 a.m. To Eastern time. And when I landed in Mexico, I remember it posted, and then I started obsessively like refreshing it and like checking the views and like seeing like who's like watching it. And then I was just like, the fuck am I doing, dude? Like, I'm done. And then I closed my phone, and then I enjoyed my time in Mexico, man. And I think it was the best way to have done it. I was in Mexico for like 12 days. So I'm really, really grateful that I just decided to post it and just fuck off. Like, I'm not even in the country. Like, watch it if you want, but it's my work. Do it. I'm just glad it's out there, you know? I don't care if it's like viral or not. It's like, it's for me. It's like a documentation, you know? It's not, I mean, obviously, go watch it. But, you know, and when I started looking back on it, I'm like, after I did all that, I was like, I could have edited it better. I could have, man, next time I'll get more camera angles. You know, I should get more audience microphones. That would be cool. I need someone with a walking camera. And I realized there were so many things I could have done better. And I was like, this is good. Realizing that I can do better is like, that's the whole point of it. You know, that's the whole point of just posting it and just not caring. And then just being like, it's out there, you know? I had to stop viewing this special as like the peak of my achievements, because it's not. I mean, it was for a time period, and it was nice when it was. But I meant to do more, you know? There's always something more to do. There's always something better to do. So posting the special it was great. I'm glad it's out there. But I can't wait to see what's next. And you know what's funny? People resonate more with the podcast than they do with the special. I'm like, and I barely tried for the pod. The podcast, I just fucking put the phone up and then, you know, just fucking talk whatever was coming to my mind, like not whatever. And then I'm like, really? You like this more than the 5 years I spent writing those jokes and like fine tuning? I'm like, whatever, dude. But you know, that's the beauty of it too. Is like, there's something for everybody. And the more you just put shit out there, someone will pick up on something. And most importantly, I like the special, right? I like it because I know exactly what went into it. And it's nice to tell people if they're interested in it. They're curious what went into it, what was the behind the scenes stuff, but most people don't care. So when I posted it, I was like, this is great, because this is a 5-year goal that I accomplished. Whether one person watches it, whether 1 million people watch it, that doesn't change. That's the important thing. Number 21. I think this is the first one that I accomplished in the year. Eat street tacos. So this was a pretty easy one. You got to throw a couple in there to, you know, just cross off the list. You got to make it a little bit easy, so you get some momentum during your, you know, depressive ruts. You can't make them all like, get my engineering license, and then it's like, you know, because that's like takes hella time and it's taxing and everything. So this is a fun, easy one, man. I realized I don't think I've eaten outside of like a food truck like that was like hired by a sponsored event. I was like, I don't think I've ever just eaten like Mexican tacos just from off like a vendor on the street. So I was like, might as well. And they were some of the best tacos that I had. And this was like the first week that I had moved in here. I found a guy. I was on my way to a comedy club here, and I saw these tacos. They were like $2 each, and I was like, what? So I got like 2 or 3, and I was like, these are some of the best tacos that I had. So that was an easy one. 22, host a poker night. This one was fun. So I had the poker set. I was playing a lot of poker at some home games when I was back in 2024. And my friends would host them in San Jose, so I'd make the drive down, and it was a good way to catch up with friends. And also it was just a new game for me. It was taking up time. It was something new to get good at. And when I came down here, I was like, oh man, I missed that. And it's different when you go to a casino, you know, like it gets a little bit sweaty in a casino. It's still fun, sure. It's a game, but it's more. I think home games are so fun because they're your friends, and poker is such a mental game. You really see how people think in their actions in the game, right? This is why it's probably my favorite game. And when there's money on the line, it's just funny, dude, because like I know that it's just the fact that there's money on the line, right? Like I know some of my friends are really well off, right? But even just like $50 on a game, like they'll just start sweating. And I'm like, dude, it's like I don't get that, because it means the 50 means a lot more to me than you, but like you seem to be like bugging out over this. And that's where I'm like, I get a good read on some of my friends. I'm like, I didn't know this about you. Like, this is the way that you act in stressful situations. But yeah, I think it's a good insight into how people are thinking and behave and their outlook on life. There's a lot of psyche behind it, and I missed that. So I did go to casinos and card rooms sometimes and play, and it's a different game. You don't really, they're better about covering that up. Also, they're better players. But I wanted to host a poker night, and I bought the whole nice set from Vegas, and I never got to really bust it out. So what happened was my friend visited, the one who got married. He came down with some of his friends, and I was like, "Yo, let's run it back." I got a poker mat, and it actually fills up this table, almost perfectly dimensioned. And we had a nice little thing. I lost $250, obviously. The host never wins. Home games. It's different than a casino. At a casino, the house always wins, but when I host poker, the house always loses. So, well, it was a good time, I don't get to see my friends like that too often, so especially now, man. People are so busy these days, and they got their own life and their own families that they're starting. So it's such a communal thing, and it's just funny to me. Whether I win or lose, I think it's just the dynamic of the friendships that come out during the game. It's hilarious. Number 23, read a book. Now, you would think this is easy, but I had to kind of cheated with this one. Do I have it? Yeah, let me get it. My friend Javi, the one who designed the sign, he made this book, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And I saw him work blood, sweat, and tears. It's called Otherlands, and it's a collection of some of his artwork, and you can see on the back here too. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a lot of thought that went into like the production of this. I mean, if you could feel this book, you would feel, there's a choice in the color, the way that it was printed. Just look at the fonts, that's been used. Look at the designs here. This is an art piece of his own. I remember seeing the sketch of this rabbit and the peace sign, and to see the evolution of what he did with a sketch and to turn it into a book. My boy's an author, bro. He made this shit. I mean, some of the stuff, like you can see it's reflecting a little bit. I don't know if you can, but I can. So when I was like, I don't want to read a book, but then I pulled this out and I was like, and by the way, he made this in his, I think it was his senior project or something. And so this was like a culmination of all his work, because he was a graphic designer major. And so he put all this work in like his final weeks into college, and he produced this. And inside of it, it's funny. He's got a quote in here from Salvador Dali. "Surrealism is destructive, but it destroys only what it considers to be shackles limiting our vision." I mean, this is like legit. He's got a copyright thing, 2019, Javier Suarez. He's got his information, his Instagram. First edition, printed in San Luis Obispo. And I gotta read. Okay, I gotta read. But what I'm getting at is like I'm kind of gushing over this right now. But I read this book, and I read it out loud. Actually, I made it an exercise. I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna cheat at reading a book for the year, let me at least read this in an interesting voice so I can practice my voiceover work. Because that was one of the things that my in the course that they said. It says practice using your voice once a day. And so I was like, all right, once a day, I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to go and read an interesting voice. So this is the first page that I can show you. At some point, I think I'm going to have to go through this entire book. But man, I wish I could just like show you guys how fucking awesome each one is. But let me read the first page, because this is what I did. I was sitting on my couch and I opened it up. And I read this. I think I chose a British accent for something. I don't even know. Sir Jewel Eisenstag. Eisenstag. Oh, it's a stag. I get it. So I was just reading. I was like, greetings, traveler. You are about to enter other lands. All expectations and lingering bits of hope you may still have within you must be abandoned at once. Substitute these earthling feelings for a large, comforting cup of your favorite beverage, preferably tea, hot tea. Do not oversteep it. Go on. I'll wait. And that's what I did. I was just reading this stuff every day, and that's kind of funny. This guy would drink tea religiously, like all the time in college too. So this is the book that I read. Beautiful illustrations and just kind of really, I love this because, again, I got to see how each of these like transform from a sketch into like this long form piece of content. So yeah, I got to show that off on a different episode. But that was the book that I read because I couldn't finish any of the other performative books that I bought. But I considered that the same one. I considered it worthy of crossing off. Number 24. I wrote down here initially yoga in the building, because every Saturday my building was offering like a free yoga thing. And I was like, well, it'll help me be social, meet some people potentially, and, be a little bit active. So I wrote that down, but by the time they stopped doing it, I guess it was only there for like a season or something. And then it wasn't there. So I had to eventually replace this. And I replaced it with go on a date. Interesting one, because I don't know what I wanted out of it. I went on a date, but I think it was more so like I was just so jaded from my past relationship and the marriage and everything, the divorce. I had to remind myself that not everyone's like that, right? So I had to remind myself that it's okay to meet people without expectations and just see how it goes. And it was tough for me to do. And it's hard for me to talk about right now even. There's obviously still a lot of pent up stuff that I'm dealing with, but I'm glad I did it, because I had to see if here's the thing. I was so ready to just be single and alone and not talk to any chicks or get involved with anyone romantically. And I was so sure that I needed to do that for years. And I'm like, okay, but does it need to be years? Like, maybe I should just check in from time to time, go on a date and see, am I ready? And if I go on the date and I feel like I'm not ready for this, then I'll know for sure, right? So I think that's what I wanted to get out of this date. And I didn't want to do that because it felt like, when I wrote it down, I was like, I feel like I'm just using this person to see like how I'm doing. It felt kind of gross, like I'm using this person. But I got needs too. I got to check out where I'm at. I don't fully know. And I'm very upfront about my feelings and emotions when it comes to other people, because that's how I want people to be with me. And it's a litmus test too. If someone who's a potential partner isn't that open and honest, then it tells me a lot that I need to know now. So I'm glad I did it, but I'm definitely not ready for that. It felt like, this past year was so fucking awesome. I did so many things, but I wouldn't be able to do those things if I was in a relationship or if I was dating. Dating it takes such a large slice out of the pie of your finances, of your time, of your energy. And then you just got to consider this whole other things, like this other person's opinions and like their shit that they want to do. Like, I don't want to, you know what I always think of? I don't want to fucking come back after a long day of work and sit down at the TV and have to negotiate what I want to watch. I've never met someone that has aligned with me on like the shit that I want to watch. I mean, we do sometimes, but I don't know what it is, bro. Girls and reality TV, like, fucking match made in heaven, bro. I can't get into that. Every reality TV show I've ever been forced to watch has been because of I was with a chick, and I talked to all my friends, and they're like, dude, it's a package. Like, you can't date a chick and not watch reality TV. It's like what The Wire and Breaking Bad is for a dude, you know? And then when my friend put it that way, I'm like, all right, I could see that. But yeah, it's like it just felt like I was doing so much already by myself, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice this free time because I feel myself growing as a person rapidly. And I can tell that I'm growing faster than a lot of people around me because I have so much time to myself. I have so much time to work on my passions and my interests. I have so much time to progress in my career and to do all the things that I want to do without thinking about it. Dude, that's the other thing. Like, if you want to do something in a relationship, you got to be like, honey, can we do this thing? And then she's going to be like, no. And then, or, she's probably cool if she's a good person. But, you're just compromising too much. And I felt like I don't want to compromise at all right now. Right now, it's all about self-rediscovery. Fuck, man, I held the tennis racket in my hand for like the first time in years, and just the flood of memories like coming back to me from that. Like how can I go from that to just being like in a relationship? It just felt like constricted. Like, and when I was on that date, I was like, this is nice. It's so nice to be with someone and talk. And we had a great conversation and everything. And like, it was fun. I genuinely had a fantastic time, which made it even more confusing to me because I'm like, why don't I want to do this? And I think the best way that I rationalized it to myself was, I don't think I need to know exactly why I don't want to do this again. All I need to take away from this is that I don't want to do it again soon. So I'll get back to it. I'll probably do it again. I'll go on a date this year. See what's up. I have never tried a dating app. This last one, the date that I went on, it was someone from my past. So that just kind of reached out. So it was different. And I'm glad I didn't get to have to go through the app. I think it would be a little bit. I don't want to set up a profile, bro. That's not because I think I'm above it, but because it's just so, like, what is this, LinkedIn? Like, what, you want me to fill a prompt out? Like, it's not romantic, bro. Like, I don't know what I want. I just know that I don't want you to like look at my shit online on a profile that I made and like handpick these photos and being like, I know a lot of people have like great outcomes from it. Some of my friends are married based off of it, right? And I know it works, but I know it takes a lot of work to not only set it up, but it takes a lot of filtering even after that. So I'm like, until I'm ready for that, level of like dedication, fuck it, dude. I'll put that one. I'll table this one. So I'm glad I went on the date, but it was confusing. But I learned more about myself, and what I want and what I'm not willing to compromise on. But the biggest thing also was like breaking this like mentality of like being a loner. Cause I don't know. I feel like there's a weird tag that comes with being a divorced person. Especially at such a young age. Like I definitely don't tell people that, like, unless they get really, they're close or whatever, like they start really pressing me, I'll probably tell them, yeah, I'm divorced. But you can almost immediately see like the judgment coming in. It's just like, oh, you're not that old. Oh, you were young and dumb, right? Everyone's young and dumb, but young, dumb, and divorced? Fuck, dude. That's not exactly the first thing I want people to know about me. So, but it is me. And I'm here now because of it. So all you can do is move forward, man. And I think going on a date is just a checkpoint for myself. Like, is this what I want? And it's all good if it isn't. Number 25. Travel outside of the US. I struggled to think of what I wanted to put for number 25 for the longest time, because I'm a very thematic person, and all these things have to lead up to something in my mind. So I was like, I got to close this list out with a bang, bro. So I was like, you know what? I did all this stuff, went to the sauna. I started the podcast. I got my engineering license. I'm fulfilled in every aspect, like socially, just whimsically, creatively, professionally. I think it's time for inspiration, right? And inspiration comes from experiences. And for me, I was like, there's no better way to have this inspiration than to get away from wherever the fuck I am right now. Because it's often when you come back and you start reflecting on where you were that you draw upon inspiration. And traveling outside of the US is fantastic for that, man. I chose Mexico because I wanted some aspect of like, I want to be able to speak the language a little bit. So I brushed up on Spanish. I was pretty decent. I would be able to keep up conversations in high school and stuff, but it still took a while to like get back into the flow and like, pick up on like the lingo, and like the pace of the language a little bit. Like I understood everyone there like pretty well. So I did 7 days in Mexico City, and then I did 5 days in Oaxaca City. So, and there were so many, this is my first adult vacation. Like all my other vacation, God damn, why the fuck am I? Hold on, I'll be right back. All right. Got to switch to a beer now. It's past 9 p.m. God damn, it's been 3 hours. I knew this would be a long one, but I love all the side tangents that this, I thought it would be a quick little breeze of 25 things, but I love all the reflection part of it is just as fun as accomplishing it, man. And it's a Pacifico, so on brand. Yeah, traveling. This probably, my friend warned me not to put labels and stuff. So, but I was like, dude, I'm not even gonna get, what is this, like 200 views at most. It's not getting monetized. Don't worry. I am doing this because I have nothing else to do on a Saturday night. Travel outside the U.S. I was in Mexico City for 7 days and Oaxaca City for 5. I should have done it the other way around, to be honest. I loved both of them. I didn't realize, like, hold on. Oh, I needed that beer, dude. Quench that thirst. I don't know if you guys know the Rob Trucker guy, but It's my favorite guy to watch on Reels lately. Need something to quench that thirst. Mm-hmm. That's good. And it was fun. The first 7 days Mexico City I did with my mom. And then the 5 days I did in Oaxaca City I did solo. And it was nice, man. It was nice because when I was growing up, my mom took me to so many places, like Malaysia, Thailand, India, Singapore. Even in the States, when we would just go travel and stuff. So it was nice to kind of, because she always wanted to go to Mexico City as well. And I think with me being able to speak a little bit of Spanish and like kind of planning the whole thing, it was kind of like, for me, it felt like I was like, oh, this is nice. I get to return the favor of like planning and like, introducing you to different things. So, and I know she had a blast too. And it was so fun, bro. Mexico City, I don't know what I thought, but it's just another city. Like it's people say that and they're just like, oh, it's just another city. Like you should go to like Guadalajara, whatever. But dude, I love cities. I love like the influence in there, and I love like the artists that emerge from there, like especially for clothes and stuff. So I started getting back into fashion too, a little bit. And so I went to some of the stores there, and I saw like some Mexican streetwear designers, and I bought, like, to me that's like the real souvenirs, right? Like anybody can buy a fucking like the little mask, this fucking mask thing. Like you can get that at the fucking museum. I forgot which one it was, Anthropology Museum, I think. Anyways, like, I mean, it's still cool. I got it, but I really appreciate the art that comes from there. I got a couple pieces just on the street from artists over there just presenting their work. And I got some clothes. Ate some amazing food. Holy shit, dude. I could do the whole next hour about the food and everything else that I did there. But it was really just, so much of the trip was like, it was just, it was novelty for me, going to a different country, flying, booking flights, booking stays. There were a lot of mistakes made along the way. I didn't even have the right luggage. So when I arrived there, my suitcase was cracked. And so I had to go get a new suitcase. And there was a lot of expenditures, I'll say, that did not need to have happened. I could have done the whole trip for maybe half the cost. But that's part of the process. And it was a huge thing. 12 days. I don't know why I thought 12 days was like a good, even by the 10th day, I was like, all right, 10 days is the max for me next time, but all that stuff is part of the process of learning, right? I mean, I'd rather just make that mistake. A couple grand. I mean, it's a lot of money, but again, like I did it for the experience. Like I did it for the experience of failure too, right? Like I wanted to get there. And there was a moment where after the Mexico City part where I flew into Oaxaca, like there was like a weird thing where I just got like super anxious. I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I doing? I'm just like in the middle of like nowhere now. Like, and this city looks so different than what I was used to. There's not as many people. Less people spoke English in Oaxaca than they did in Mexico City. So I was like dude, like, am I ready? Can I do this? And then when I got there, like the first night, I just kind of like, I closed the blinds because like I was hella nervous for some reason. And I met the owner of the stay, which was, this guy's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. But he didn't, like, I had to use Google Translate because I was just like anxious as fuck. And like, I knew like what he was saying, but I couldn't like respond. And so I was feeling embarrassed about it. And so I was using Google Translate to talk to him and everything. And I guess when I checked into the room, and like, beautiful room, fantastic. accommodations and everything, you know. I mean, it was the kind of place like this guy was just like, yeah, like, you know, like it's a family, like downstairs there's coffee, there's yogurt, there's like liquor, there's mezcal, there's beers in the fridge. He's like, help yourself to anything. He's like, don't, you know, when you come here, I want you to feel relaxed. There was a pool there too, like, and he's just like, we maintain it every day. Like, he's like, any food you want, anything, and he's like, if I can help you with anything, let me know, right? That kind of a stay. And I got to my room and I just kind of closed the blinds and I just kind of laid in bed and I was like, I want to like go on my phone and just like rot on like reels and whatever. I was like, and it's like whatever ideas that I had planned, I didn't want to do them. Like, I just felt like so uncomfortable because all of it all at once was hitting me. I was like, I'm alone in a new country and I don't speak the language very well. And I'm scared. You know, that's what it was. I was scared. And so I did that for a couple hours and then I was just like, bro, I'm being a fucking pussy right now, dude. Like, I was like, I need to get the fuck up out of here and like go fail outside. You know, don't fail inside and waste a bunch of money and not go do the things that like, there was a vision, right? There was a vision of me having mezcal with some strangers and talking to them and just learning about their life. So I'm like, just go fucking do that. Like, if you're gonna have a bad time, at least give it a shot. You know, don't just be too scared to not do any of that. So that was and the vision was for me to spend New Year's Eve in a different country because I've never done that I remember. I probably have, but that I intentionally did, you know, I wanted to spend New Year's Eve and like celebrate in a different country. And, that's what Oaxaca was, for me. So I spent Christmas in Mexico City and then I spent New Year's, Eve and New Year's Day in Oaxaca. So I did a lot of the touristy things, you know, in Mexico City. I did the hot air balloon thing. I did the museums. The museums were so cool. Oh my God. I'm not even a big museum guy, but when I was walking around in there and I also had like a fantastic person because you can book these people that like, will like talk through the culture and explain a lot of things. Whoever I had was fucking amazing at their job. Like, she was a full blown historian, like any question. I had so many questions and I was asking about like every single piece and she knew fucking everything about this. Right. So that really will change the experience. Right. Because anybody can just go to the museums and being like, yep, it's the Aztecs. They like rocks, you know, but she really knew like fucking everything. That'll change your experience, you know? And that ended up being like one of my favorite parts is like seeing the castles and the museums and like just, I was shocked by how much culture was held and preserved in Mexico City. Cause I'm not a big history guy. So I don't know where fucking all the culture is. All right. If I see it, like, I'm just surprised by it. That's who I am. I'm not big into it. So when I was there, I was like so surprised. Like, there's so much historical context for whatever's going on in here, politically as well. The art scene there. So I was like, dude, I booked these museums and stuff to like, it was kind of like the zoo in San Diego. Like, I booked them because I was like, all right, I want the burrito, but we're just going to do this little zoo thing for, you know, just to say that we did it. And that's what the museums were. I was like, all right, the museums are fun and all, but I got a Michelin star reservation in the evening, which I'm really looking forward to. But then I ended up like really getting into it. And I was like, oh shit, dude, this is it. Like, I used to make fun of people who would come in here and like, just like, go to museums and shit. I'm like, you think you're better than me? And then I'm in there like, oh, this is kind of cool though, you know? So I'm glad I got to do some of the more cultural things as well, because I didn't want it to just be like a vacation can be whatever you make it, right? A vacation, traveling outside of the country, it's such an open-ended prompt. It can be you going to Miami and just clubbing for a weekend, right? That's traveling. And if that's it's just not my thing, right? Like, but it's a different type of vacation is what I'm trying to say. For me, the traveling for this one, especially in like the number 25th item on my bucket list of 2025, it had to symbolize that inspiration again, right? So the inspiration comes from new experiences, right? So for me, doing all these things, I got drunk, don't get me wrong, and I did party, but it was really cool to get this balance thrown in there of historical context and also doing some of the more extravagant activities. Like I think I went to Coyoacan and just floated on the river there on a boat, and had all these vendors with like, corn coming up. And that was like more my rest day relaxation, but it's just things that I haven't done before. Like, when am I going to do that here? I'm in Los Angeles. Like, when am I going to get on a boat and go on a 2-hour leisurely thing? I took a nap. You know what I did? I sat on that boat and I'm like, you know what I want to do? I want to take a nap. And so I went on the hull of the boat. I just laid back and I took a night. It was one of the best naps I've ever had in my life, dude. And my mom was like, what do you mean you enjoyed it? You were asleep. And I was just like, you don't understand. Like, I was asleep, but I was like also just like semi awake, and the boat was rocking back and forth, and like my mind was at ease. And like I just heard like the mariachi bands like floating in closer, and then they would float away. Best nap I've ever had in my life. All right. In Mexico, I guess Coyoacan. And that, it's like, I didn't plan for that. I didn't go there and be like, I want this boat because I want to do this and I want to have the best nap of my life. Some people travel like that, but there's planned like shit that I wanted to do, but then it's the best stuff happens in the chaos in between, right? You plan for something and then like you go on a little mission over here, and then you take a little nap here, and then you find this quesadilla in this little market, and then that's like the best quesadilla you've ever had in your life. You didn't know that the quesadilla was going to be there, but it just was. And then you saw it and then you had it. It's that level of spontaneity that just drives the creativity that you get later on. When you're looking for something to draw inspiration from, that's the kind of thing you think about, Now I'm thinking like, man, wouldn't it be cool to kind of capture that moment of me like laying awake, like just that vision. Like, what if I had a camera angle now on a boat and the camera is swaying and it's looking up and you can just see the skies, and then on the skies you see branches just going by, just the branches going by, and then a couple times there's a bird, right? And then you hear the mariachi band coming on closer, and the camera's still swaying the whole time, and the sound comes in and then goes away. And can you just imagine that shot? Can you imagine that shot animated now? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't go there for that, but now this is where my mind is leading to, right? That me just laying on that boat looking up and seeing all that stuff. Now it's not like I couldn't have pictured it before, but it now gives meaning. Like, if I were to draw that out and plan it out and say, this is the camera angle and this is what it looks like, this is the sound design, you would understand that it came from something that I lived and experienced, right? And maybe I'm hyping up a nap to an insane degree, but I'm saying the best ideas don't come from this grand thing, It comes from making something like small like that into something big. So there's a lot of power and creativity in it that comes from these seemingly mundane moments. If you can have an outline for things that you want to do, not even just while traveling, but if you have a semi form of outline of like, okay, I want to do this, this, and this, but then you leave little gaps in between those things for what I call planned chaos, I think that's really where you because you need to have a direction to go in, but you need to be able to like move around and sway and being like, okay, whoa, like I didn't expect this. This is cool. And then you kind of linger there for a moment. And then, when you get tired of that, you're like, where should I go now? And you're like, oh, my outline. That's right. I have a direction. And then you go back to your outline. And then you go to the next step in your process, right? And that was my little excursion to Coyoacan and that little boat thing. That was fun. What else did I do, man? I'm definitely not going to cover everything that I did, but I just enjoyed spending so much time with my mom as well. It's it's great to be able to give that back a little bit, and also to spend time with her. Like, I don't really, you know, when I say, like, as you get older, people's time and their energy becomes more valuable because everybody has less of it, and that includes your family too. And some people are more closed off than others to begin with, but I'm glad that Mexico City allowed, you know, a little bit more of that time and appreciation, with my mom at least. I wish my dad was a little bit more into traveling and like doing adventures and stuff, but he's not. I just don't think that's him anymore. I mean, he used to do that a lot. I think he told me that he lived in Japan for quite some time and learned Japanese and ate octopus and stuff. So I'm sure he did that in his past. I'm sure that when I get to his age, I'll probably be just as tired and not want to do anything same as him. But you take it for what it is, right? And for what it is, my mom was there, and we had a good time, man. And she, man, I heard it from everybody else too. But like other relatives are reaching out, like, "Yo, your mom can't stop talking about Mexico City." I'm like, "Wow, really?" You know, and it felt good. I was just like, wow, you know, it's nice to be appreciated for something like that. And also, I needed that too. That's something I wasn't really willing to admit until right now. Is like, I needed someone there in Mexico. I didn't want to just do, like, because that feeling that I had in Oaxaca that I was saying, where I was just alone and like by myself. Can you imagine if I had to do that on day one? Like day one, I arrived to Mexico City, and I was just by myself. And so my mom was there to like help be somebody to be with, right? And so it kind of eased me into the process of solo traveling. Now I'm a little bit more into it, now because I know what to expect. I know like where to save money. I know how to be a little bit more savvy when I go out. But yeah, man, I needed her just as much as she needed me. You know, that's what familia is. That's what a lot of friendships is too. Feels good to be able to admit that. I feel like I wasn't ready to say that I needed her. So that was Mexico State. And then Oaxaca, I'm going to be honest, man. I did not do the beaches, and I really regret it. I really regret it because it could have been so much cooler, but like I didn't want to go. It's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive. And I was like, fuck, I already got my stays in Oaxaca City, and I didn't want to like blow my budget by paying for a cab there and back, and I guess buying a hotel there. So I just decided to stay in the city. But you know what? Oh no, I have a reason to go back to Oaxaca now, you know? So you can't truly do everything you want at once. So there was a level of like, yes, I'm excited for this. And dude, the thing I did the most was the food. I ate so much good food. It was ridiculous. I ate so much good food. I went to so many Michelin star restaurants that I was tired of them. I was like, give me that fucking burrito from this San Diego, dude. I don't want this like carefully crafted shit on like a raft and like you put a leaf on it and call it like my 7th course. No, give me that burrito from the taco stand from San Diego over this. I was ready. By like the 10th night, I was like, this is it. I've reached capacity. I'm over it. This might be the most. I went to Pujol in Polanco after Oaxaca City. I don't know why the fuck I did this, bro. I planned it. I went to Mexico City, and then I went to Oaxaca, and then I went 2 more nights in Polanco. I'm like, I should have just done. Polanco's right fucking there. I don't know why I needed to do the flight. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying like I spent too much money. Like, why did I have to do that? Because I didn't think that I had to pay for my baggage each way on those flights, and then the Didis there and back. And I'm like, all that shit adds up. I'm like, why the fuck didn't I just do it all at once? I'm like, whatever. You know, it was what it was. And then, but anyways, Pujol was awesome. Like one of the best dinners that I've had. But I was so burnt out. I had so much good food already in Oaxaca. You know, if I were to do it again, I would do less fancy dinners, and I would do more street food. I still had a lot of street food, not street food, but like what do you call it? Like just normal food, not like fucking dressed up and shit. everybody told me not to eat it. I was ready to eat the street food, but even like the host of my Airbnb and the hotel guy, the guy who had all the kitchen stocked, he's like, oh, do not drink the water and do not eat the street food. Everybody told me that, so I was like, oh, all right, I'm not gonna, I've already been sick once on my PTO, so I'm not trying to do it again on my second one for the year. So dude, the best taco I ever had was in Mexico City. God damn. I still think about it. Tacos de Valle, I think. But yeah, I did so much of Oaxaca was food and mezcal oriented. I went on a mezcal tour there. I went on El Hierve del Agua, which is like hot springs. And I did a hike there. So that was nice. Got some physical activity after all that fucking food that I ate. And yeah, it was nice. Like, I love those little tour because there's so many things that I want to do, but it just becomes streamlined if I can just book a little activity thing and like they take care of the transport and everything like that. Because I'm somewhat of a purist. I was talking about how cooking, I want to get the freshest ingredients. I don't want to do any shortcuts, no jarred garlic or anything like that. I'm kind of that way. I take that mentality with me when I'm traveling too. I'm like, oh, why the fuck would I, pay for an activity? Like, I don't need a tour guide. I'm like, I'm Neel. I'm fucking cool. Like, I can do it myself. I'll get the car myself. And I'm like, no, that's way too much work. So I really loved these scheduled tours and everything. There's a balance, right? There's a balance to everything, and whatever your comfort level is, they got something out there for it. And that's another thing I realized for traveling. It's like, it really is whatever you make of it. It's if you want to stay, like if you want to go to a resort and just relax and vegetate and not think about anything, that's a vacation, right? That's also, I mean, it's different than traveling, but it's different. You can make it that if you wanted it to, which is why I was like, everything that I did, it seemed like this is the thing that you have to do because this is the way people do it. But people do all sorts of things, man. I'm like, the food thing, like making sure I ate at all these like iconic restaurants and like all these like dishes. Like I ate chapulines, grasshoppers. I ate so many grasshoppers, and I never thought to myself, I'm going to be a person that eats grasshoppers or insects in general. I ate like escamoles too, which is like ant eggs. And I just never saw myself doing that. It kind of grossed me out a little bit, even thinking about it now. But I mean, I did it when I was there, and it was like, it was important to me to try the cuisine. I don't know what it is. I guess I love food that much, but yeah, I'm glad I expanded my my comfort zone when it came to food. For the longest time, I didn't eat escargot because for some reason, I guess like the aesthetic of it, or just seeing snails, like how they're just, what they're just slimy and shit. Like, I just thought that I wouldn't like it. And then when I came back from Mexico, I went to a seafood place near my work, and then they had snails, and then I was just like, yeah, let me get them. And that's that kind of shit where like you travel, you experience new things, then your worldview, it just expands, right? And so now you're more down for shit. So that's like a 29-year block that I had on myself where I was like, I'm not gonna eat snails. Who eats snails? The French are fucking weird. And then I had snails, and I'm like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Frogs too. I ate frogs recently. So I'm really like, I'll try it, And all these little experiences help. I mean, man, I'm just not going to be able to convey just how impactful Mexico was for me. It was great, and it made me realize, like, I don't need to do one big travel of the year and pretty much go broke for it again. I can just do that in smaller doses. And I realized the trip that I made to Joshua Tree and Palm Springs, it was a little bit like that as well. Like whatever I did there was kind of like practice for Mexico, because I still had to like look up a hotel, find the best prices, and then I had to like think about the travel and stays and like who's gonna watch my cat, like all that stuff. Like all that is part of traveling. It's like the point is there's so much energy that goes into, you have to be really intentional about doing it, right? So I realized I don't need to fly even. I can drive, dude. I got the adventure car. I got the RAV4. You know, I got the space. I can take it. It's all-wheel drive. Well, I can go anywhere, you know? America is like so big. California is so big. I don't even need to leave the state to experience that, right? So traveling to Mexico made me realize like I can get that, and I can get that same feeling of novelty in my own areas. Like there are places within Los Angeles that I have not been yet, and I can go there and make a day trip. And yeah, like I'm not gonna go tell my friends, yeah, I traveled to like East LA. Like, but what I did was I did something new, right? I did something new, and I went out of the house and I got outside of my comfort zone, and I was uncomfortable for a little bit, and I returned with a sense of like accomplishment and also new perspective. I can do that, you know, and so this year, instead of doing like one big travel for like almost 2 weeks, I think I'm breaking it up and I'm doing multiple smaller little excursions. So it really inspired me not only creatively, but it just reminded me that there's so much more to this life thing than whatever I'm doing here right now, right? Like that's why posting the special, I was like, why would I treat that as the peak? That's just one of the great things that I've done. I got so much more. And I got so much more to produce, and I have so much more to consume, right? I mean, I can't produce more. I can't produce things without first consuming other things. It's nothing. You can't make something out of nothing. And that's where the inspiration comes from, is like just doing different things, watching different things, reading, listening, meeting new people. All of these things are going to help me make that next thing. And it's all tying together now. And that's why I really love, I love this list. I love that just writing it down had this much impact on me. You know, what is this, like a 4-hour podcast now? I mean, like, I didn't think it was going to be a 4-hour thing. I mean, it was just these things, like, I'm realizing them with you right now. This isn't a planned thing. Like, it's almost like a live therapy session where I'm talking through and coming to these epiphanies. So I don't know. I'm experiencing it live as well. And that was 25 things to do in 2025. It's 2026 now, and we're halfway through March. So I got 26 things that I want to do in 2026, if I can find it. But I think I'm going to keep this one a secret.